Your Honor, this is case number 226 on the calendar in the matter of Durant versus Lockhart. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Valerie, how old are you, dear?
16.
And the lady standing next to you is your stepmother?
Yes.
And Miss Lockhart is your grandmother?
Yeah.
And you are her?
Mother.
All right, let's see where the story starts. I gather that you were living with your mother at some point. Then you and your mother had some sort of a falling out and you went to live with your grandmother.
No, Your Honor. I was living with my dad and my stepmother. In 2003 is when I moved in with my grandmother.
Is that because you had a falling out with either your father or your stepmother?
It was because I was having trouble in school. And
Whatever. You were having difficulty.
yeah.
So you went to live with your grandma. And while you were living with your grandmother, according to your complaint, your mother was sending some money to put away for a class ring.
Yes.
And then when you left your grandma's house in May of 2004, your grandma kept the money.
Yes.
So you're suing her for the money that your mother had sent for you for your class ring.
Yes. Some of that money was also from my dad. It was my birthday money.
Your grandma says that she did get the money. Your mother told her to keep the money to cover some other expenses that she had. So I have a few questions. How long has Valerie lived with you but for the time she was with her grandmother?
2 years, approximately.
And how long have you been married to her father?
Approximately 2 years, 2 to 3 years.
Step up. Your last name is?
Mine is Keel.
Miss Keel, did you send your daughter money?
Yes, I did.
And when you sent her the money, did you send it directly to her?
No, I did not.
Who did you send it to?
I sent it to my mother to be held for a ring.
You sent your mother the letter, and in the letter there was cash or a check.
There was cash.
And the cash was given directly to your mother.
Yes, always.
Is that right?
Yes.
So the money never came to you.
No, but it was meant for my class ring. They both knew that.
Valerie, this is the situation. If your mother sent the money to you, and you in turn said to your grandmother, I want you to hold this for me, then she's just acting like a piggy bank. Do you understand?
The $200 that my dad and my stepmom Teresa had given to me, I went up to Iowa and they had given me $200, and that was given straight to me. And
Okay.
then I gave it to her.
Fine. So then let's not talk about the money that your mother sent to your grandmother. Let's talk about the money that your father and your stepmother gave to you. How much money did Valerie personally hand you and say, Grandma, will you hold this for me for my class ring?
She gave me money, and I don't know exactly how much, to hold for me so we could start her a savings account.
So you don't remember how much that was?
I do know one amount. When her dad brought her back to my house, she spent the week of her birthday in Iowa, and so whatever they gave her up there, I'm not sure. The only money that I know that was given her, because I was standing there at the time, is when her dad brought her home. The stepmother stayed in the vehicle. He came in with Valerie, and in Valerie's bedroom, he said, Valerie, here is $100. Do not tell Teresa. And we were going to start a savings account with all the money that she had received for her birthday.
And how much was that?
I know the 100 there. Her grandmother from Iowa had given her like I think $20, which I guess Valerie thinks that
Okay.
I took the money out of the mailbox, but she was in Iowa the whole week.
How much money did your father give you?
My father and my stepmom gave me $200, and that $200 was given to me in Iowa.
Okay. And how much did you give your grandmother to hold for you?
I gave her $200. She knew that it was for class ring.
It really doesn't make any difference what it's for.
Okay.
You say class ring, she says savings account. It doesn't make any difference. Did you put that money away for her?
No, she took it back.
When
and
did
she spent it.
When did she take it back?
It was probably 2 weeks, and it was not all at once. She kept saying things that she wanted. Then her boyfriend's birthday came up. So she, I gave her money a little bit at a time out of this money that I was holding just in my purse for her to start a savings account. I wanted her to start a savings account.
Well, what did she say to you, for instance, when it was her boyfriend's birthday?
She wanted to get him a gift.
So what did she say to you?
She said, Grandma, I need money out of the envelope.
So she knew that the envelope in your purse was the money that she had given you.
For savings account.
Okay.
which we never started.
Did you say to your grandma, when you needed a present for your boyfriend, I need money from the envelope?
Yes, Your Honor. We had 2 envelopes. One was marked class ring, and one was marked savings account. She had told me that we wasn't going to start a savings account. So I did take money out of the savings account. There was 2 envelopes. I did take the money out of the savings account one.
We're not talking about class ring, my dear. Listen to me very carefully. I want you to clearly understand. The money that your mother sent directly to your grandmother is not yours. Got it?
Yeah.
The money that your father and stepmother gave you as a gift for your birthday was yours. Your grandmother says that you wanted things, money for presents for your boyfriend for his birthday, money for things that you saw that you wanted, and over the course of time, you went into, not you personally, but you said, Grandma, I want the money from that envelope. And you acknowledge that that's true. Now, how much did you take out for things that you wanted?
You don't understand. There was 2 envelopes. One was for the class ring, one was for the savings account. There was $400 in the class ring one. 200 of that my dad had given me and my stepmom, Teresa. There was another envelope because I just had my birthday, and I had got money from other family members and other friends.
How much?
I'm not exactly sure how much was in that one. I couldn't even give a guess for that money. But yes, I did take that money back.
I assume you had difficulty with your father?
Yes.
You're still having difficulty with your father?
No.
Do you live with your father?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Where is he?
He works constantly. He works from the time daybreaks come till the time nighttime comes. That's why I have guardianship of Valerie, and I'm raising her. Nobody has time for her.
You mean you individually without her father, and you share a home with her father?
He works all the time.
I don't care if he works all the time. That's what fathers
Yes,
sometimes
he
do. They
works.
work all the time. So I don't understand why you would have guardianship of her.
Because I'm the one that takes care of her, takes her back and forth to school, takes her to counseling. She sees a psychologist.
She's the only one out of my parents that would take care of me.
Something that is very peculiar to me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. 16-year-old Valerie Durant says her grandmother, Jan Lockhart, won't return money she gave her to hold.
Now, what did you... Go ahead.
Can I just please say something? I had Valerie for a year and a half. I went up there Christmas to get her. She had been kicked out of the home by her father and her stepmother.
I assumed.
She walked up a highway carrying bags when she was 14 years old.
I assumed.
I have a statement from the counselor that I took her to that plainly states the very things that Valerie said herself about her relationship with her father and them kicking her out. I had that.
I assumed that she
And I
came
went
to
up
live
there
with you
with
for that reason.
The best of intentions. She wasn't going to school. She was allowed to smoke on the conditions she smoked in the den by the fireplace. She was given wine coolers. Now, this is what I'm told by Valerie.
Okay. Why did she leave your house?
She left my home because it started with her boyfriend. I went to her room, and the reason I have this class ring receipt is because it was in her room, in her hope chest, which I have a letter from Valerie stating that, also stating that she doesn't know how much money there was. I mean, it's just, this is where I paid the $50 down on the class ring. I did have $125 from her mother for the class ring, but the money that Valerie got for her birthday was in Iowa, except the $100 she received from her dad in her bedroom when I was standing right there.
And it's your statement that she
And
spent
it is gone.
Okay. Why did you leave your grandmother's house?
Because me and my boyfriend, we had some trouble. And
What do
then
you mean you and your boyfriend, you had some trouble?
We had sex.
And?
And then she found out about it.
And?
And after that, she wouldn't let me call my dad to ask for him to come and get me.
How old's the boyfriend?
He's 16. She told many people that she was keeping the class ring money to pay for an attorney because she pushed him in church.
She pushed him in church?
Yes.
Ah.
They never went to court over that, though. But she told me that she was going to keep the money for that. And also, one of the reasons why I left her house was because we was having way too many problems. She wouldn't let me call my dad. So I told her that I was going to the neighbor's house. And then when I went to the neighbor's house, she had called the police on me. And the police came and she told the police that I had ran away and that I kicked in their door. I was really upset that she would do something like that.
Because she's a bad person. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm just saying, I can't
I'm asking you a question.
I can't believe that a grandma would do that, you know.
You think she was trying to be vicious and mean to you?
Yes, I do, because I did not run away. I told her where I was going.
Just a second. I'm just asking you. You think that she's trying to be vicious and mean to you?
Yes.
Where's the boyfriend?
He's in Arkansas. I don't go out with him anymore.
Why not?
Because I moved to Iowa.
Does he call you all the time?
Not anymore. We used to. He used to call every night at 9.
When did he stop?
After we broke up.
Why did you break up?
Because I was going to school and going to work, and I didn't have time to talk to him.
Oh, I don't believe that, my dear. That's a fib. Going to school and going to work doesn't mean that you can't talk to him at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, so that, I don't buy that.
She's not allowed to talk on the phone after certain hours.
Miss Durant, you are nothing but trouble.
No, that may be.
You are nothing but trouble. What I'm telling you is if you find yourself in the unenviable position of having a 16-year-old that you're in charge of because, according to you, father works all the time and the mother is not capable, I'm going to tell you that you should not, under any circumstances, encourage her or importune her or support her in cutting off ties with a biological family. That is a very stupid thing.
I do not do that.
Very stupid thing. Well, you're being here today. Your being here today suggests to me that you do, because but for your intervention, she could have not proceeded with this case today since you are her guardian for some bizarre reason. So if it were me, I would have said to her, listen, you're not talking about a lot. I don't know how much money your husband sent to Grandma for taking care of her for the year and a half she was there. How many thousands of dollars a month did he send?
$150.
A month?
A month.
A month. You can't feed a large goldfish for $150 a month. So her grandmother supported her, took care of her for a year and a half. Far more than a couple $100 for a class ring. For a class ring, which I don't see why she needs, because she left her grandmother before school was out. Your case is dismissed. Be smart. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It wasn't the $350.
It wasn't about the money.
She has got to learn lessons in her life.
I was just wanting her to feel what she did to me, you know.
That you suffer the consequences for your actions.
Of her lying and stealing from her own granddaughter.
With the parental guidance that she has at this time,
I hope that her conscience gets to her.
I don't know what's going to happen.
I think it's very sad.
I just think it's pretty pathetic that me being an outsider, I have to take care of her.
But regardless, I love her. She'll always be my daughter.
Can't get her own mother to take care of her.
And I always want what's best for her.
It really bothers me. It hurts my heart.
Oh, I'm happy the way that I'm living now.
She knows my phone number.
So, things are just normal for me.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Isbell versus Espinoza. Step forward, please.
Homemaker Holly Isbell is suing her former friend, 25-year-old nurse's assistant Michelle Espinoza, for unpaid babysitting fees and miscellaneous expenses. Holly says she cared for Michelle's kids while she was in the hospital.
Ms. Isbell, according to your complaint, the defendant was hospitalized.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were contacted to see if you could fill in while she was hospitalized, which was on an emergency basis, to watch her 5 children.
Yes, ma'am.
You agreed to watch her children, and you want to be reimbursed for babysitting services as well as miscellaneous expenses for the children while they were in your care.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Espinoza says the two of you were friends. You used to watch each other's children all the time. You filled in for each other. There was never an agreement to pay you for babysitting services, and she doesn't owe you anything. In addition to the babysitting services, it is your claim that the defendant also has embarked on various acts of harassment, and you want to be compensated for that. How long have the two of you been friends?
Probably for about a year and a half, almost to 2 years.
And you have children?
Yes, I do. I have 3.
How old are your children?
Mine are 12, 6, and 4.
And how old are Miss Espinoza's children?
6, 3, almost 2. She has 2 twins. And then the baby is almost 8 months.
And were there times when the two of you exchanged babysitting services?
I remember one time that she's watched my children, yes.
And was there any payment?
No, there wasn't.
Any other times that you watched her children?
There was payment, yes, ma'am.
Now, When did you go into the hospital?
On the 21st of April.
For what?
For kidney stones.
When did you receive a call, Miss Isbell, that there was need for your service?
I received a call from one of her friends on March 21st. She said that Michelle told her to call me because she needed somebody to watch the kids for a couple of days, that she was going to go in the hospital. And I called the hospital, and they said that she had already been admitted. So they gave me her room number, and she was in pain. She said that they were already giving her pain medicine, and that her fever was really high, and that they didn't know what was really wrong with her at the time, and that it was only going to be for a couple of days. I agreed to watch them for a couple of days.
Fine.
And in that agreement, I said the same arrangement goes as prior. And
No,
she
no,
agreed.
Miss Isbell, I don't think you said that to her. I think you're a nice lady, and I think that if somebody is saying to you, I'm in the hospital and I have a very high fever and I'm in a lot of pain, I don't think that a nice lady like you would say, well, I'll take care of the children for a couple of days, but you know it's going to be on the same payment arrangement that we had before. I don't think you would say that. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, ma'am.
So the children were dropped off at your house, and then what happened?
They were dropped off, and what was brought in was a gallon of milk and a few diapers and about a half of baby formula, about this big. And then when I called her at the hospital, because I didn't know how to reach her boyfriend, I said, look, you know, the kids are running out of diapers again.
When did you call her?
The very next day.
And?
She said that she was fixing to have tests, and that she would get a hold of her boyfriend, and that she would bring all the stuff that was needed. Well,
Not she.
Not she, but the boyfriend. Well, he brought over a bag of potato chips, about 7 cans of Cokes, and that was it.
Did you give her any money for the 4 days that she watched the children? Just not for payment, but for the food that they ate. You know, if it cost her an extra $150 for the 4 days.
When
If the children are with you, let me finish. If it cost her an extra $150, don't you think that it was your responsibility, your boyfriend's responsibility to see to it that she had what she needed for the children?
When I offered her for money or to bring groceries over there, because I can't just give her my food stamp card because I'd get in trouble.
I'm not asking you to give her your food stamp card. Your boyfriend works. I assume that he works for money, not food stamps. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, how much money did he give her?
None that I know of.
Right. Well, that's not fair.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I'm the one that packed everything for her kids.
Well, then come up and tell me what you packed. Tell me your name.
And I called her in the beginning.
Tell me your name.
Jessica Flores.
All right, Miss Flores, what did you bring over for the children?
I packed 4 changes of clothes, 3 sleeping clothes.
I'm not talking about clothes.
Okay.
Let's not talk about clothes.
I
She
gave
didn't
her
buy any clothes.
24 diapers for the
24
babies.
diapers?
For the baby. And the twins are in diapers. I gave her 50 for the twins.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did the milk, Michelle had the big count of my ounces, but it's not the 12 ounce. It's like a 32 ounce, and it was brand new. It wasn't even opened. I put that in with the Pampers and a gallon of milk because Michelle told me that's all she wanted.
Is that what she brought over to you?
No, ma'am.
What
it
did
was
she bring
not.
over?
She brought over, now the can size is right, but it was half full. And she did not pack 50 diapers for the twins. It was more like 12.
Do you have a receipt for items that you bought for the children during that
I
time?
do not, because I only paid once to buy just a really cheap pack of diapers for the twins.
So how much did you pay?
Food was $169.41 because I had to replace everything, you know, because they ate a lot.
Okay,
They didn't get to go to school.
$169.41 for 4 days for 5 children. What else?
She would call and she would leave messages on my phone, and I have one tape.
I'd like to hear it.
Holly, I don't appreciate you going to a missionary or compassion or wherever and using my name to get my children diapers, and when you tell me you paid for them, what kind of Christian person are you? Now, I'm sick of you trying to run around this town and ruin my name or giving me bad trouble. You keep on and you will have trouble yourself, Holly. Now, I'm just a little bit sick and tired of this.
All right, so she's telling you she's angry because you've been saying bad things about her. Go ahead.
But
It's not harassment.
well, this was because 2 days after DHS was knocking on my door. And there's another case involving me and my daughter that she knows about. It involves a sexual act that happened to someone, and she knew about it. And
so you think that she called Children's
yes,
Services to report on you?
I really believe that.
Okay, she may have, but you can't prove it. So far, I think that she has to reimburse you for your expenses with regard to taking care of her children, because I think that that's the right thing to do. And I think that there was probably an implied agreement to take care of your children's necessaries. Now, how much do you think is appropriate to reimburse Ms. Isbell for the service that she provided in watching your children for 4 days?
I don't know what she purchased on my children. She went to the Compassion Outreach for diapers that she said she purchased herself.
No, she's not asking for diapers. She's not asking for diapers at all. She spent $169.41. That's what she says she spent.
If she
for the
spent
children.
that, why didn't she ask me for groceries when I asked her to go get them?
Oh, I want you to turn around and look at her. Turn around and look at her. Miss Espinoza, I want you to say the following words. Thank you for taking care of my children when I couldn't and my boyfriend couldn't.
Thank you for taking care of my children when I couldn't and my boyfriend couldn't.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $169.41. Thank you.
Why the judge speak when they step out?
Her boyfriend is very abusive to her.
She has so much hate and anger against my boyfriend. That's what it is.
Got a problem. She's the one who told me, and she showed me bruises before.
We're no longer friends, that's for sure.
I didn't call it on her. I called on her boyfriend.
Probably because he's Mexican. I don't know.
I have nothing against him. I have nothing against her. You know, when you get hurt, no man has a right to whoop up on a woman.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of White versus Schimmels step forward.
Nurse Diana White is suing her ex-boyfriend, switchboard operator Tom Schimmels, for the return of $4,000 worth of property. Diana says her ex is an abusive man. Tom is countersuing for harassment and mental distress.
Miss White, you claim that you met the defendant through a dating service. You moved in with him, and after a period of time, he told you that he wanted you to leave. You did, in fact, leave. It was not a pleasant separation. You claim he kept some of your property. You're suing him for that property in the amount of $4,000. Mr. Schimmel says that the only property that he has of yours is a stove that you left out on the front porch, that he's called you several times to come and get it. You can come and get it whenever you like, because it's still there. Is that right, Mr. Schimmels?
Yes, it is, ma'am.
And that Mr. Schimmels is counterclaiming because he says that since you left, you have been embarking on course of harassing conduct towards him, and you caused some damage to his home when you moved out. Mr. Schimmels, I assume that you are legally blind, sir, and that dog is a seeing eye dog. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Miss White, when did you meet Mr. Schimmels?
About June of 2003.
How did you meet him?
Through a singles line, a singles dating service.
You arranged your first meeting when?
I'm going to say June, the end of June.
And when did you move in with him?
The middle of October.
When did you move out?
February 10th.
Why did you move out?
Throughout our relationship, Tom would get angry and he would say, I just want you to move out. I just want you out of here. It made it very difficult to...
So why didn't you move out?
Because then he would say, I don't mean that. I just say that when I'm frustrated. The night of January 31st, we got into an argument over something very small, and he assaulted me that night. He hit me. I have a 911 tape.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And Tom Schimmels owes for the return of patio furniture and a stove. Tom says Diana won't leave him alone.
According to what I read in the complaint, Mr. Schimmels gave you $2,500. Mm-hmm. What did he give you the $2,500 for?
That was for a grandfather clock, a china hutch, some rugs, and a computer desk, the bedding for the master bedroom, pictures, rugs, things like that.
Well, do you have a list?
Those are not...
Do you have a list?
I do not.
I do, Your Honor.
You do? Can I
Yes.
see the list? Who is this? Your friend?
This is my witness, Tim Flanagan.
Jim Flanagan, Judy.
Your last name, sir?
Flanagan.
Mr. Flanagan,
Jim.
step back, sir. Bird
Oh,
doesn't
okay.
like anybody to get too close, even
Yeah,
though
all
I
right.
know you don't look dangerous.
Thank you. You bet.
A hutch, lamps, grandfather clock, curtains in the master bedroom, desk, office, rug in the family room, and pictures in the master bedroom. Then you write, by no means is $2,500 fair, something the police have been to the house 2 times, and I do not want the... What is this, Burke? We'll ask her if she can read this, since it's her handwriting.
I couldn't read it either. Sorry for the pun.
Have been to the house. I do not want the abusiveness and fighting to increase, so under duress I agreed to this.
Okay, fine. So, now, what things do you have, madam, that you say he refused to let you take from the house?
There's an entertainment center that I purchased in October, and I have a receipt for that. I purchased $2,300 worth of mini blinds and drapes. There's my antique stove.
Let's deal with this. As far as the mini blinds, etc., you don't get those back. They're fixtures. They're a part of the property, so you don't get them back, and he's not paying you for them. The stove you get back because he says he has the stove, and you can come and get it at any time.
Your Honor,
Go
he
get it.
said this in the past, and he won't
Okay,
let me.
we'll create an order that 5 days from today's date, at 12 o'clock, you're going to come there with a, is this an old stove?
It's an antique stove.
Fine. Going to come there, and she's going to pick it up. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, sir. I've told her many times to come get it, and she refused to do that, and I've
Good.
given her,
No,
all of her stuff.
Fine. Terrific. The entertainment center. What about the entertainment center, sir?
She said when we were buying, I bought all the furniture from More Furniture. She said that she was going to buy that for me as a gift.
Give me the date.
It had to have been in October when we moved in, because I bought all brand new furniture for the whole house. And
Okay. So listen to me very carefully, sir. In October or November, that means that within either a month to 2 months, you told her to leave the house, correct? After just pay careful attention, Mr. Schimmel.
Okay.
Within a month or 2 after she bought the entertainment center, according to you, for the house, you told her to leave. Is that right?
In December, yes.
And it's true that some of the stuff that is in your home, like the blinds and the stuff that is attached to the house that I already told her she can't have back because they're attached to your house, you still have there. Is that right?
Correct.
And you are complaining, sir, that she's harassing you, because your counterclaim says that she's been harassing you for money. Is that right?
Yes, she's owes me money for damaged deposits.
Just listen to me.
Okay.
You didn't sue her for damaged deposits or anything else until she brought this lawsuit against you, Mr. Schimmel. So what I'm saying to you is, you're complaining that the harassment is because she keeps calling you, asking you for money.
Right.
Or her things. And I'm saying to you that it would have been smart of you if you told her to leave within a month or 2 of her buying you this entertainment center for the house. She was moving. You should have given it back to her.
Well, I understood that it was a gift when she bought it.
I don't think so. You prepared to give her back the entertainment center, sir? Along with the stove?
I can give her the stove. I mean, the entertainment center is built. I mean, it'd be really difficult for me to do that.
Okay. All right, so she gets the stove plus $771.50. What else, Miss White? And don't go into nonsense with me, because otherwise I'll reconsider the $771.50.
I'm not. My patio furniture is there, my molded lawn chairs, my padded folding lawn chairs are there. He did return 2 of my hoses, but the ends were cut off of them. There's wind chimes, there's
Don't go into nonsense with me.
A 1940 radio.
You have an old radio, 1940 radio.
That she was going to throw away and she said I could have.
It's now become very, very important to her to have this old radio back. It's an antique. She wants it back. And when you give her back this property, she's going to stop annoying you. Do you understand?
Your Honor, when it all... I understand.
Good. So we have a stove that's going back to you and a radio. That's it, Miss White. Plus $771 for the entertainment center. Now let us briefly go into this counterclaim that you have. She's been harassing you. She's going to stop harassing you and calling you for money because you're giving her back the property that, according to what I believe she's entitled to, she's going to get within 5 days. Then you say she pulled her paintings right out of the walls and I had to hire a handyman to patch up and paint the damaged walls.
Yes.
Did you pull everything out of the walls?
No.
Show me pictures.
We don't have pictures.
Don't have
Good. Then you have no counterclaim.
We have where we paid a man to fix the walls, and I've seen the walls when she moved out, and there was holes in them.
Why didn't you take a picture? If you intended to sue her, why didn't you take a
Well,
picture?
I didn't realize they were going to get into such an argument over some holes in the walls.
I mean,
until
neither. So if you didn't plan on getting into an argument over holes in the walls, why are you bothering me with it now?
Yeah, okay.
Good. Counterclaim is dismissed.
Great.
There's a judgment for the plaintiff that I'm entering 5 days from today. You to pick up your stove from his porch and the radio, which will be on the porch on top of the stove or underneath the stove or next to the stove, plus $771 for the entertainment center that he says is too difficult to dismantle. Do you understand?
Yes.
By 12 noon. Otherwise, it's gone. Consider it over.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I've tried to get it over for a long time.
That's all. Listen to me.
I've not,
It's
you know, I mean,
over.
it was I wasn't even comfortable in my own house.
Well, what would you like me to do about that, sir?
Well, that's why I countersued, because I was distressed and
I've been distressed most of my life, sir. It doesn't mean that I come to a court and try to annoy somebody. Do you understand? You should have given her back her radio. You
I
should have
tried
paid her
to.
for the entertainment center.
I tried to.
You did? You tried
Yes,
to pay
I
her for the
tried to.
You paid her for the entertainment center?
No,
You
because she
sent her
said
a
that
check?
was a gift.
Mr. Schimmels, say goodbye, sir. Mr. Flanagan will help you out. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think justice does prevail.
She stole all my stuff out of the cupboards.
I'm glad that it's over.
She took advantage of me because she saw I was down and out when I lost my girlfriend.
No, I didn't take advantage of him. I loved him. You know, sadly, I loved him.
She says, if you're going to kick me out of here, it's going to take more than that. She says, you're going to have to chain me to a tree outside.
He would yell and scream and say, get out, and then he'd say, I don't mean it. And I'd say, you know, I made a commitment, so I guess you'll have to chain me to the tree.
She lived in the spare bedroom and wouldn't pay attention to me. She ignored me. She was nasty towards me.
After he assaulted me and he pushed me and the police were there, you know, it got pretty scary. It was time to go.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Tardif, Morales versus Harrison. Step forward, please.
Grad student Joseph Ted Tardif and his roommate, Adrian Morales, are suing landscape business owner Alan Harrison for damage to their swimming pool. Ted and Adrian say Alan accidentally drove his stump cutter into the pool.
Mr. Tardif, according to what I read in your complaint, you hired Mr. Harrison to come and grind some tree stumps in your backyard. And he had an accident in your backyard. He and his machine fell into your swimming pool, causing some damage. You want him to pay for the damage to your pool. Mr. Harrison acknowledges that he had the
accident.
He acknowledges that he and his machine tipped over and went into your pool. It was entirely his fault, correct, Mr. Harrison?
Yes.
Except he said that the pool was not damaged to the extent you say it was, and he's not going to build you a new pool, which is really what you want. He's willing to clean it up, but that's about it. Is that right?
We had the agreement, yes.
Well, I don't know what agreement you had, but I assume Mr. Tardif is going to tell me. Mr. Harrison, what kind of business do you have?
I operate a stump grinding business and a tree and landscape demolition removals.
How long have you been doing it?
3 years.
You have insurance?
No.
Why not?
Well, I just couldn't afford it at the time, and I'm still trying to build up. Things are a little bit tight, and I don't have insurance.
Who are these people?
These are my witnesses to cleaning the pool and to removing the stump cutter from the pool.
Okay. Do you have a picture of the stump cutter?
I have pictures.
I would like to see it. I don't know what a stump cutter looks like. Did you put in the pool, or was the pool
It was
there?
there when we bought the house.
So this is really what you're talking about. So you're talking about the staining and the cracks in the bottom of the pool.
Yes.
You have any photographs, Mr. Harrison?
Video.
I'd like to see your video.
Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever seen a stump grinder at the bottom of a swimming pool? I bet not. His name is Chewy, and we've got a chip right there, and a little one right there, and a little scraper over there. Little gunite scraper. something along those lines. But we're going to set up some ramps and wheel this baby out pretty much that direction. We'll come along, get her out of here so his friend can skate the pool finally.
What is that supposed to show me, sir?
The damage, there was minor damage done to the pool when it fell in, the scrapes and the small chip.
How do I know that? The bottom of the pool is all full of mud.
It was on the side.
How do I know the bottom of the pool was all full of mud, sir? How do I know what was at the bottom of the pool?
When the stump grinder fell in, it rolled over, it put a scrape in the pool, it came down and it sat in one spot. And that's all it did.
Were you down there, sir?
I was in the pool when it went in. And I saw the stump cutter actually just lower itself down and stop in one spot.
Mr. Harrison, you have a problem, sir. Let me tell you what you should have had instead of a video camera. Insurance. Unfortunately, there may have been some chips and nicks that existed in this pool before, but you are responsible for putting this pool back into a pristine condition, because you are not going to be able to demonstrate to any court's satisfaction that this pool was in rotten condition before your stump cutter grinder fell into it.
Well, what happened was this. We came to an agreement that minor damage was done by myself, but it wasn't that bad. So I said, okay, you find somebody, I'll pay for the cleaner. And he said, I also want $1,000 free compensation for further work done on the pool. I said, okay, I was thinking about $800, but $1,000 sounded fine. About a few days later, I get a call from a representative of his pool cleaning company giving me Sully's phone number, of which I have his card and an invoice. And when I communicated it to Mr. Tardif that we were kind of having a little problem with the pool cleaner going in there, he said that it's his pool and he's going to get it cleaned the way he decides.
He's absolutely right.
Yes, he is.
He's absolutely right. He doesn't have to deal with your two guys. He's already dealt with one person who doesn't have insurance. Who's your insurance carrier?
I don't have an insurance carrier.
Right. You understand what I'm saying to you, sir? It's not up to you to determine how he gets his pool fixed.
Okay, but
you
that was our agreement.
You should have been more careful,
yes.
A. You should have had insurance, B. And if not, you saved on the premiums for 3 years. Now it's going to cost you. End of discussion. Oh, goodness gracious. Do I need you anymore? I mean, you're not a genius. If you have stumps that you want taken out of your house, you get somebody who's licensed and has insurance. I don't let somebody on my property unless they have insurance. So if there's an accident, you don't have to have this problem. You say, just give me the name of your insurance carrier. Put it into my insurance, and they'll pay the bill for the right kind of person to clean out and to take care of my pool. Do you understand?
Yeah, I totally
Very good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,700. That's all.
As long excuse, you may step out.
The right rear tire hit the lip of the pool and flipped over.
I personally believe that they had a plan to go in there and wipe the whole thing out and stick me with it so they could get a free pool.
Slow motion, all the sound effects, and with him falling in the pool was crazy.
It is quite a shocker. But at the same time, we had an agreement for $1,000 and for me to pay the pool cleaner, and he's not happy that he calls somebody to screw it up, and he didn't want to even go after him for anything or settle it that way. He just wanted to straight come after me.
Bill collector Carol Pratt is suing her former live-in boyfriend, staffing agent James Moulton, for unpaid rent, a broken video camera, and the return of a snake.
Yeah, this is case number 308 on the calendar in the matter of Pratt versus Moulton. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat.
Miss Pratt, how many kids do you have?
Total of 3.
How many live with you?
2.
How old are they?
14 and 9.
This is the 14-year-old?
Yes, ma'am.
What's his name?
Michael Edward.
And how old is the third
She's
child?
9. Oh, the oldest one is 21.
So she's out of the home?
He's
out of the home?
Yes.
How long did you know Mr. Moulton before he moved in with you and your 2 children?
About a month.
And why did he move in with you?
He wasn't able to pay his rent, and we wanted to join finances so we can both afford to live in my house that I own.
When he came to live with you, did he come to live with you as a boyfriend?
At first, yes.
What do you mean at first? So were you sharing a room with him?
Yes.
So you knew him 1 month before he moved in?
Yes, ma'am.
And did he have any children?
Yes, ma'am.
How many?
2.
Who did they live with?
Us.
So you moved in together, blended your families after knowing each other for a month. You now have 4 children living in the house. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
And the 2 of you. And when was it that he moved in?
About a month after we met each other.
Give me the month.
That would have been in November.
Of 2003?
Yes, ma'am.
How long did he stay in your home?
Until the end of February of 2004.
And at that point you say he left owing you rent?
Yes, ma'am.
That he took some property that didn't belong to him when
Yes,
he
ma'am.
left, and he also took your son's snake and mice, and you want them back.
Yes.
And broke camera.
Yes.
Whole bunch of stuff. Okay. He left in February of 2004.
Yes.
Tell me why he moved out in February.
We weren't getting along.
Just that. You just weren't getting along. There were no major battles in
Yes, there
February.
were. There was a lot of battles.
What happened in February, sir?
Well, Your Honor, it was prior to that. It was more like after Christmas. I received custody of my children from domestic violence. When I brought them into her home, her children were very violent to her and to me and to my kids. And as a father, I cannot put my kids in that situation. That is why I left.
Okay, fine.
There was no agreement when I moved in about paying rent.
No, I didn't ask you anything else.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not your case yet, sir. It will get there. Because, Mr. Moulton, you're not going to tell me that a man who has custody of his 2 children moves in with a lady who has custody of her 2 children and expects somebody else to take care of him and his responsibility. Now, I don't want you to even answer that question, sir, until you think about it a minute.
I don't need to think about it. The answer is absolutely not.
Good. So I just want to make sure that that was not your agreement. I don't speak. I have an opportunity. Now, so he left in February. Now, he moved in November.
Yes, ma'am.
And prior to his moving in, did you have an agreement with regard to the household expenses?
He told me that he would pay half of everything, and that he would never treat me the way my exes treated me, and that he would be responsible and take care of his obligations.
Good. So he made some sort of general statement that he would take care of his obligations. So how much money did he contribute to the household in November?
He only helped with food.
When you say he helped with food, what do you mean he helped?
He paid for half of it, and I paid for half of it.
Okay. And did you have a discussion with him in November that this wasn't what you had agreed to?
More or less in December. He did originally have a job when he started. The first week he lost his car because it broke down, then he lost his job because of it. I even gave him my car, and he would drop us off at daycare and work, and he would try to look for a job, but he didn't have money for gas, so I had to put all the gas in the car also, besides paying for the insurance and for the $315 that I pay monthly on my car
Okay, it's just a second. So he lost his job. You lost your job, is that right?
I was laid off prior to moving in.
When did you get a job?
January, I believe it was, delivering flowers, and I was using my car because I had bought a car.
When did you buy a car?
In January.
With what?
I received unemployment and child support from my wife, which is what I paid for it.
How much money did you receive in child support?
I received $300 a month from my 2 children.
And how much did you receive from unemployment?
$125 a week.
So about $800 a month.
That's correct.
And you were receiving $800 a month starting in November.
Absolutely.
And how much did you spend on your living?
I contributed most of my money to her in the household.
How much each month?
I probably kept $50 a week for myself and bought a case of diapers for my daughter.
Yes.
And I paid for all the food.
How did you then buy the car?
Money from my wife. Other money. I had this money. I saved some money. I had money before I moved in with her.
How much money did you have?
The car was $99 down.
How much money did you have?
A few $100.
You're talking fast, sir.
A few $100.
When he wasn't giving you money towards the mortgage and he wasn't giving you any money towards the rest of the household expenses but paying for half the food, did you have discussions with him periodically about money?
Yes, we did, and he kept telling me that to leave it go, that he would take care of it, just quit bringing it up. He knows he owes it.
Okay. Now, when he left in February, what kind of a discussion did you have with him about the expenses and the money he owed you?
He agreed on $500 a month, and I told him, what about the phone bill, because he was calling his ex-wife on long-distance charges that I wasn't supposed to pay for.
Just a second. So he agreed to give you $500 a month
Yes, ma'am.
for the 3 months that he lived there?
$500 a month, yes.
But he did not give you the $500
No, he
a
did
month.
not.
And this is after he already moved out?
Yes, ma'am.
Does that sound familiar, Mr. Moulton?
No, ma'am. I had no agreement with her. When I told her I was leaving because I did not want my children in the violent atmosphere
I understand
any
that. She
longer,
says that after you left, you had a discussion with her because she racked up large phone bills talking to your ex-wife and a lot of other expenses. And she says you agreed to give her $500 a month for the time that you were there with your children and that you would pay for it out of your tax returns, but then you didn't get your tax returns right away.
It's not true. I agreed. I told her I paid her what I paid her, and that was it. There would be no more money given to her.
All right,
I fulfilled my obligations to her. My priority was to get my children out of that violent situation.
I heard what you said about your priority. I heard. Now, What items did he take from the house that you say didn't belong to him?
Whenever he moved in, he threw out my bike, which meant a lot to me. I had it since I was
He threw out when he moved
an
in?
antique bike.
You said when he moved in, he threw out your bike?
Yeah, when he moved in, he started going through all my stuff, throwing out everything that he thought I didn't need and I didn't use. He threw out my furniture. He threw out some of my items.
You should have thrown him out if you didn't want him to do it.
She asked me to help her organize her house.
Just a sec. Do I look like I need help?
No, ma'am.
If you didn't want him to throw away these things, Miss Pratt, and he was throwing them away when he moved in, you should have thrown them out. You didn't do that. Now you don't come and sue
Well, he
him.
had
Do you
two small
understand?
children.
Do you understand? You don't come and sue him after the fact.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Carol Pratt says former live-in boyfriend James Moulton owes for rent, a broken video camera, and the return of a snake. James says he moved out because Carol's children are violent.
Let's get to the snake, because I see we don't have anything that...
Well, after he moved out and that my son was giving me a hard time, so I grounded him from the snake for a week, and I asked him to hold on to the snake and to the mice in the cages, and I gave him food and the bedding for them, and I said it will be a week. When I went back to get it a week later, he told me it either died or he froze, and he gave me different excuses every time I seen him.
What happened to the snake?
She asked me to take the snake. I took the snake and the mice to my house. The snake got away out the back door. I had the mouse. It wasn't or will you watch this or will you babysit the snake until my son gets out of boot camp? It was, do you want the snake? Yes, I do. She put it in my car. I took it home. Months later, she wants the snake back. It's gone.
How long did you have it?
4 months.
You had it for 4 months.
I begged for 4 months to get it back.
Okay, next.
Well, when we were living together, he was drinking too much. That's why my son was getting upset. My children had a hard time with him because of the type of friends he was hanging out with. He was bringing...
Just tell me, I'm not interested. Listen, you want to go on you go on Dr. Phil if you want to talk about your problems. I don't want to talk about your problems. I want you to tell me, this is a court. What does he owe you?
$1,650.
For what?
For living expenses, for the utilities, the phone bill that was over, for gas, for using my vehicle when he used it for the months that he didn't have a car.
Stop being a baby.
Your Honor.
Stop being a baby. The relationship didn't work out. He's not going to pay you for putting gas in the car. I believe that you had an agreement that he would pay for half of the expenses. Here you are living, your 2 children, his 2 children, and he can't live rent-free. He can't live utility-free. And he receives, in addition to that, he receives child support and unemployment insurance. So he receives $800 a month.
And I didn't know about the unemployment.
Well, he received, according to him, $800 a month. And if what you believe and what he agreed to pay was $500 a month, that's perfectly reasonable, leaving him $300 a month for extra expenses, and that's without a job. And certainly if you got a job in January, sir, delivering flowers, you could have gotten a job Christmas time delivering flowers too. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all.
Charge excused. You may step out.
Jealousy?
Jealousy? No.
She's jealous that I'm with another woman and won't be with her.
There's no jealousy. Sorry, Jim.
Drug and alcohol counselor Dina Moran is suing her former friend, 22-year-old client service assistant Tasha Turner, for wrecking her Monte Carlo. Tasha says she caught Dina in bed with her boyfriend. She is countersuing for unpaid rent and bills.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 96 on the calendar in the matter of Moran versus Turner. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Thank you, Bertie. These two are the saddest people that you've seen in a long time.
I know. I'm like...
It's just a little lawsuit. It's not life-altering. Miss Moran, this used to be your friend, and according to you, you loaned her your car. She crashed your car into a tree. You want her to pay for the damage.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Ms. Turner says pay for your own car. I took you into my home. You disrespected me, my home. You didn't pay rent, and she is counterclaiming for rent and utilities for the 3 months that you lived with her.
Yes, Your Honor.
I think we're going to start with your counterclaim.
Okay.
When did Miss Moran move into your home and why?
She ate up my food, ran up my bills, and haven't paid me a dime. And I have a witness here of the verbal agreement that me and her had.
Okay, when did she move out?
She moved out in February, due to the fact that I caught her in the bed with my boyfriend.
Shh. February what?
February 6th. The sleazeball was in the bed with my man.
Okay. Was your boyfriend living with you at the time?
Yes, he was living with me for 5 years.
And what happened to him?
I smacked them both and threw them out my house.
Okay.
And their items.
Come on. When was she supposed to have started to pay rent?
The minute she moved in. She was claiming to help me because she had just started working at a job.
Did you start to pay rent?
No, Your Honor. She told me that, whenever you get on your feet, I'm willing to take whatever it is that you need, whatever it is that you can afford.
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, not a problem. I'll pay you at the end of the month.
Okay. Did you pay her in January at the end of the month?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
How much did you
No,
give
she
her?
didn't. I gave her...
Listen.
Yes, ma'am.
How much did you give her?
Your Honor, I only owed her $250 and I paid her.
You owed her $250 because that was your agreement, that you were going to pay her $250?
The agreement was I was supposed to pay her...
Look at me. Don't look over there.
I'm sorry. I was supposed to pay her at least half, and her rent is $400 and some odd dollars, and I gave her more than half because I paid her $250.
You didn't say that in your papers, and you didn't say that a moment ago, that you had an agreement to pay her half her rent. But now you acknowledge that you had an agreement to pay her half of her rent, and you say that you gave her $250 in January.
At the end of January, that is correct.
Do you have any proof of that?
No, Your Honor. She has the receipts.
Did she give you $250 in
No,
January?
she did not, Your Honor. She ain't gave me a dime.
Miss Moran, Miss Turner indicated that the reason you left the apartment is because she found you in a compromising position with her boyfriend. Is that accurate?
Your Honor, she really didn't catch me in the bed with him. She caught him coming on to me, and he was on top of me. There was no situation where we were in the bed and we were naked or anything like that.
Okay. So I wasn't as graphic as you just
I'm
were.
sorry.
I said she caught you in a compromising position
This
with her
is true,
boyfriend.
Your Honor. And I was telling him to get off me, get away from me. You're supposed to be my best friend's boyfriend, and,
she wasn't.
get away from me.
Okay. Now we're going to get to your claim.
Okay.
When did you loan her your car?
About the end of February.
After she threw you out?
She and I had come to an agreement that, all right, I explained to her the situation as to what she walked in and saw. She walked in and her boyfriend was standing on top of me, and he was like over my face like he wanted to kiss me, and he kept, trying to pull my clothing off and whatnot. And she walked in and seen that, and she and I had talked about it. And I truthfully think, Your Honor, she was using me because the tramp didn't have any money to get a rental car.
Listen to me, please. What I want to know, Miss Turner, is you called Miss Moran and asked to borrow her car.
Yes, I did.
Now, my question is, when it struck me in the papers, because you were very irate at what you saw with the plaintiff and your boyfriend, why would you call her and ask her for a favor to borrow her car if you were so angry?
She was honestly my last resort. I don't want to have anything to do with the slut.
Well, listen to me.
I was on the verge of going to get fired from my job because I had missed days.
Walk before I would call and ask somebody for a favor who had done something as disrespectful as you allege in your papers.
My job was an hour away. There was no way or nobody would let me borrow their vehicle.
And tell me about the accident that you had.
I was coming home from work around, I get off at 12, so it was around 12:15. I was coming home from work. It was dark at night. I was coming down a one-way street. What happened was my cell phone was ringing. I went to lean over to answer my cell phone. And when I went to reach over, the car drifted into the left telephone pole. It was on my left-hand side.
So the accident was clearly your fault, right?
I guess.
What do you mean you guess?
It was an accident.
Well, I said the accident was clearly your fault. It wasn't his fault, was it?
No.
It wasn't my fault. I wasn't leaning over to catch the phone.
No.
It wasn't her fault. She wasn't leaning over to get the phone. Right?
You're
It was your fault.
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Dina Moran says former friend Tasha Turner wrecked her Monte Carlo. Tasha says Dina slept with her boyfriend.
Madam, when something is your fault, you have to pay for it.
I don't believe I should pay her anything because she owes me money.
Just a second. How much did it cost to fix the car?
Your Honor, it cost...
you have estimates?
Yes, ma'am. I have the estimates, and I also have pictures of the damage.
I want to see it.
I was also inconvenienced. I had to pay for a rental car.
You didn't have to pay for a rental car because you loaned her your car, and I assume you had 2 cars. Is that right?
This is true, but that other car...
This is true. All right. Good.
Yeah, she's lying, trying to get more money.
Your Honor, I also have...
I didn't ask you anything. Okay, so the damage is $29.54 to the car. There's substantial damage to the car. Pretty nasty pictures. Okay. Now, clearly, she doesn't owe you anywhere near $3,000.
Well, she owes me for the fact that I had to kick my boyfriend out, and he was helping me pay my bills also. And now I can't afford to pay my credit card bills. My license is about to get suspended because I can't pay my fine.
Your Honor, if she...
I didn't ask you anything.
I do apologize.
Ms. Turner.
Yes.
I read that interesting and novel part of your lawsuit.
Yes.
That because of the compromising position you found your boyfriend and the plaintiff in, you threw him out.
Yes, I did.
And it's her fault that you had to throw him out.
Yes, it is.
So you want her to pay what he was paying you in rent, not only what she was supposed to pay you, but what he was paying you, which is well over $3,000.
Yes. If you look at my credit card bill, Your Honor.
Listen to me, my dear.
Yes.
If your boyfriend is a dog, he's a dog.
Well, he wasn't a dog till she moved in.
I want to tell you something. A dog is a dog is a dog.
Okay.
If it wasn't her, it would be somebody else. She was just convenient.
She came on.
Listen to me. Listen to me. She was just convenient. And certainly, you're not married to this man. There is no lawsuit for alienation of affection because you don't have a commitment to this guy, and he didn't have a commitment to you.
Well, I was with him for 5
Boyfriend.
years.
Boyfriend is not husband.
Okay.
If you were with him for 5 years, how come you weren't married?
He didn't propose to me.
That should have given you a clue. That should have been a clue in year 2, not year 5. Okay. The fact that he wasn't committing to you and still looking around to see what else was out there should have been evident to you. The fact that you were with him, committed to him, but he wasn't committed enough to propose, right?
You're right.
Good. Okay. She owes you $250 because I don't believe she gave you $250. So I'm deducting the $250 from the $29.54, which leaves $2,704, if my math is correct.
You got it.
Thank you very much, judgment for the plaintiff.
Bodies are excused. You may step out.
He was a dog anyway, so, you know, a dog is a dog. If he cheats, he cheats. He's always going to do it.
I caught her in bed with him. They were both together in bed giving him...
When there's something as fine as me in front of him, that it's a problem.
I think she came on to him because she's like that. She flaunts herself around town like that.
She was drunk. She told me she's coming home at 12 o'clock from work. She wasn't working until 12.
She was my best friend for 9 years, but the tramp isn't anymore.
She was out at the club, and I know she was out at the club because we party all night when we do party.
Don't trust your best friend around your man.
It's a sad thing to say. You know, they claim they're your friend, but they'll wreck your car in the end, so you better watch.
20-year-old therapist Tracy Lynn Ford is suing her ex-boyfriend, 20-year-old newspaper distributor John Normandin, for an unpaid loan to pay off his truck. John says he has no obligation to pay her back.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 103 on the calendar in the matter of Ford versus Normandin.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Miss Ford, how long did you and the defendant live together?
Probably about 1.5 to 2 years.
And it is your claim that sometime within that period of time, you accepted a loan from your mother. He accepted a loan from your mother. The check was given physically to you, but the loan was for the purpose of him paying off his truck.
Mm-hmm.
And it was clearly understood between the three of you, the defendant, and your mother, that it was his responsibility to pay her back.
Yes.
You broke up. Mr. Normandin said, not my loan, it's her loan. It's her arrangement with her mother. I never made the arrangement to pay her back. Is that right, sir?
That's correct.
So you bought a truck when, sir?
About a year before actually about 6 months before we got together. I bought the truck and was making payments on it with all my own funds. Was trying to save up to pay it off because of the high...
Slowly, I'm old.
Because of the high interest rate and the high insurance costs for full coverage on the vehicle, I need to get it paid off as quick as possible. So I was working 3 jobs, saving as much money as possible. I saved up about $11,000 of my own money to pay it off within a 4-month period of time, and I only needed another $1,000 or so to finish it off, and at that time she agreed she would help me out with that.
Tell me the conversation when she agreed to help you out with that. Tell me, I want to hear the conversation.
I told Tracy that if I paid off the truck sooner, there'd be more money available for us to get other things for us both to use. And she said, after I told her that she would help me out by asking her parents to see if she could borrow some money to help me pay it off. There was never agreement for me to pay it back. It was all her own. I mean, we helped each other out. I mean, I got things for her, she got things for me. And I figured this is her helping me out. That's as far as I took it. I didn't know it was a loan on my behalf.
Were you covering your own bills in addition to the truck stuff?
Yes, I was.
Was she working?
A little bit here and there. She had a full-time job, but she wasn't making that much money.
You said if I could get this paid off faster, I'd have more money for us and our bills. So she agreed to get a loan from her mother.
Yes, ma'am.
And you got the money?
With the agreement that if he didn't pay it back, that I was held responsible. But I didn't benefit from it.
When you made that agreement with your stepmother, was he present?
Yes.
Where were you all?
We were in our house, and he made me call my stepmother. I called her, asked for the money. Then she asked to speak to John. She spoke to John. The agreement was made between them that she would send the $1,000 and that he would pay her back either right away or in increments with the money that he was saving from not having insurance.
Okay, now when was that check written?
March of 2003.
How much after that did the two of you break up?
We broke up about 3 months.
It was in November, Your Honor.
We broke up.
November of 2003.
Yes, that's correct.
Who was this
No,
person?
I didn't.
Who was this person?
This is my husband.
Okay. When were you married?
We got married January 15th.
When did you break up with Mr. Normandin?
I'm sorry, it was 2002. My mistake.
We broke up in June of the last June that we just had.
June of 2003.
Yes.
And the truck loan was March of 2003.
Yes.
So 3 months later.
Yes.
Okay. And when you left, you took the truck, sir?
Yes, I did.
Had things started to deteriorate between you and the plaintiff at that point?
They'd been deteriorating for a while before that, and the check her mother sent her was way before that. It was in 2002 she received that check because I tried.
Can I see the check, please?
Sure. That's the check.
Date of the check is March 11th, 2003, sir.
Then I must be mixing something up because
you mixed up.
I moved out a year and a few months after we broke up. We had a lease together. It ended November of 2002. I lived with my father for a year and a few months. I have receipts for every month since then from him and a signed lease agreement from him.
I'm not interested in a lease from your father.
But she's saying that we lived
I'm not
together.
interested in a lease from your father. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me see the paperwork when you paid off the truck.
I don't have that.
Why not? I'd be interested in seeing that, not a lease from your father.
It's been at least a year since I paid off that truck.
Listen to me carefully, sir. I'm not interested in a lease from your father. I would be interested to see when you paid the truck off.
I didn't believe I needed that.
Well, you were coming here about a truck, were you not?
I thought I was coming here about money that
No,
was borrowed.
you were coming here about the truck, correct?
It's not what I understood.
Why would you bring a lease instead of the payoff payments for the truck?
Because the
There's
payoff
no
had nothing
logical reason for that, sir.
The payoff
Mr.
had nothing to
Normandin,
do with that loan.
there is no logical reason why you would bring a lease. This isn't about rent.
I understand that.
That's not logical that you would bring totally irrelevant paperwork instead of bringing paperwork that could be marginally related to this case. It just doesn't make sense. Now, what I want to see is the check that you indicate he gave your mother for $500. That I would like to see, and then stop payment on it.
I would love to give it to you, but he sent the check, and then he either went to Texas or California. I think it was Texas to visit his brother. Called me, told me to call my stepmother, tell her not to cash the check. So he didn't put a stop payment on it. He just told me to tell her not to cash it. She did not cash it. She can't find it, unfortunately, because
Well, don't tell me why she can't find it, because she's not here to tell me that.
Actually, she's in the back.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Could you bring her in, please?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. C. Lynn Ford says ex-boyfriend John Normandin owes for a loan to pay off his truck.
When did you send a check for $500?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
It was in May.
May of what year?
2002, I believe.
Let me see the check register.
Why would you pay for
The whole
it before she
Shh.
sent the original?
Let me see the whole check register. What was the name of the company that you had a loan for the check?
I don't recall.
Think hard.
I can't remember. I've had a lot of loans since then.
I'm just talking about your truck loan, sir. You still have the truck?
Yes, I do.
Well, if you still have the truck and you wrote out a check for $11,000, one would think that you would remember.
It was over a year and a half ago. I've done a lot since then.
You sent her this $500, sir, after you had made all the payments that I see here for the truck.
The payoff wasn't a written check from me. It was
No,
a
I
cashier's
understand.
check from the
I understand that. What I'm saying is you made payments for the truck, $500 payments for the truck to Chevrolet.
That was when I first bought it.
Listen carefully to me. After your last payment for the truck that is registered here, you sent her a check for $500.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what you're telling me is that was not in return of a loan.
It was a joint bank account between me and Tracy Lynn. When the bills were due, I wrote most of the checks.
Yes. Shh.
Sorry.
Just a minute.
So the money was both of ours together. Every penny I made, she had access to. Everything she made, I had access to.
Sorry.
I am correct that after you paid off the truck, which included her $1,000, you wrote out a check to her for $500.
Yes, ma'am.
And what happened with that check?
Tracy called and said that John did not have money in the account to cover it, and if I could hold it for a short period of time.
So what did you do with the check?
We held it, and recently I looked for it.
Now, you have the truck, and she has the debt.
I assume so.
Why is that reasonable, sir?
Well, I owned every penny I paid on that truck was my money.
No.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't. You had a specific discussion, and the specific discussion with this young lady was, I need another $1,000 to pay off the truck so that I can stop working the 3 jobs and just put all the money into the truck, but we can start living more reasonably.
It wasn't an I, it was a we. We needed the money to pay
Well,
off
then
the
how
truck.
about I do this, sir? How about you take out your wallet, give me the registration for the truck, and I will have you sign the truck, half of it, over to the plaintiff. How about that?
That
Would you
wouldn't
like
be
to do
fair.
that? Take out your wallet and give me the registration. Take out your wallet and give me the registration. Then we do a we. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Don't be a smarty with me. You're going to lose. We happens when 2 people are married. When 2 people aren't married, you don't have we. You have yours and you have hers. You got the truck, she's got the debt. There is something wrong with that. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It's been hard because he refused to pay the money back when he knew he needed to.
We had an equal sharing relationship, and I guess it wasn't as equal as I thought it was.
It's put a lot of stress on me because I don't want to owe my stepmother money, and it was my thing to pay when he wouldn't pay it.
She needs money badly because she's pregnant and has no money.
I have plenty of money. We've got a nice house. I don't need his money.
16-year-old Manaz Solomoni and her mother, Mary Safapur, is suing 15-year-old Carrie McAtee and her mother, Kathy. Manaz says Carrie wrecked her car on the way home from a party. She also says Carrie had been smoking pot.
Yeah, this is case number 61 on the calendar in the matter of Solomoni versus Safapur versus McAtee. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Bird, we have another case of Dumb and Dumber. Dumb and Dumber. The junior ones. What's your name?
Manaz.
And how old are you?
16.
And you?
Carrie.
How old are you?
15.
Did you have permission to take your car out that evening?
No, ma'am.
So you mean you took your mother's car?
My sister's.
How old is your sister?
She is 17.
So you took your sister's car without permission?
Yes, ma'am.
But it wasn't your sister's car because your sister's 17. She can't own a car.
Oh.
So the car belonged to your mother. Yeah. So you took your mother's car without permission?
Yes.
And you went to a?
I went to pick up Carrie and her friend and then to go to a party.
So you went to a party?
Yes.
Did you have a driver's license?
No, ma'am.
And you went to the party?
Yes.
And you were with her?
I was at her house before we left for the party, and we both went and picked up another friend.
And while you were at the party, you were drinking?
Yes.
What were you drinking?
Alcohol.
Got where we're going?
Oh, I'm already there.
And you had too much to drink, so it was time to leave?
No, the cops came.
Cops came. Police came. Now, this party was at someone's home?
Yes.
A boy or a girl?
A boy.
Let me guess, his parents weren't home?
Yeah, yes, they were.
They were home. Why did the police show up at the party?
Because everyone was smoking and drinking and...
Smoking what?
Weed.
Smoking marijuana?
Yes.
Where were the parents when this was going on?
The mom was home buying the alcohol for kids, and I don't know where was the dad, but I know the mom was home.
Now, was Carrie smoking marijuana?
Yes.
Were you?
Yes.
Honest. So the police were called, the police were coming, and then it was time for you to leave. You didn't want to drive home because you had too much to drink?
Yes.
So Carrie drove home.
Yes.
But on the way home, she hit a car.
Yeah.
And that's what this case is about, because you feel as if it's appropriate for Carrie and or her mother to pay for half of the damage to both your car and the car that was hit.
Exactly.
And Carrie's mother says,
no.
Why?
Because I was misled at the time. I had had several conversations with Mary before these two went to this party. They'd only been friends
Who's
for a
Mary?
few weeks.
Which one's Mary?
Is a mother.
Okay.
Because we were both concerned about what our daughters were getting into in their recent behavior. I was fully led to believe that Naz was a licensed driver. Several times she drove my child home from school. They both went to a party in another town.
Who led you?
Mary herself told me what a good driver Naz was.
Let's talk about the 29th of December.
Well, I'm believing that Naz is a licensed driver, so I agreed to pay for half of the deductible.
Just a second. Let's look at the objective data. This young lady has told me that without permission, she took her sister's car, who's 17, so it's really her mother's car, without permission.
Mm-hmm.
Now, your daughter knows that she doesn't have a license, correct?
Correct.
Your daughter knows that it's against the law to smoke marijuana. Is that correct?
Correct.
Your daughter knows that she should not have gotten behind the wheel of a car to drive. Correct.
Correct.
And your daughter was the one who was driving while under the influence of a controlled substance when she hit a car.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Correct.
And if what you're telling me is you do not believe that she bears at least partial responsibility, I would like you to explain why.
I do believe she is responsible for what is not covered and paid for by the insurance policy on the vehicle by the owner.
Okay. Now let me explain something to you, madam. She is not obligated, first of all, to put this claim through her insurance. Even if she did, it is more than likely that they would disclaim on the policy because the person who drove the car was not a licensed driver.
Well, Your Honor, I don't mean to interrupt you. She needs to take better control of her own daughters. And had I not been misled by her in the beginning about Naz having her own driver's license, not carrying her sister's in her wallet, this relationship would have ended long before that. My daughter would not have been in that party or that car.
Are you... Listen, get your head out from
No.
where it shouldn't be. Your daughter would have been there. If you think that your daughter wouldn't have been at a party smoking your daughter wasn't smoking marijuana because she let them use the car. Your daughter's 15 years old. I would be more concerned with my 15-year-old daughter going to a party where the police had to be called to break up the party where there was marijuana being smoked and alcohol being served than I would over the responsibility to pay for half the damage that she did to the car. So we have dumb, dumber, and dumber. Okay,
Can
What?
you do me a favor?
What?
Can I have a copy of this?
Yeah, you want to show it to someone?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good. Let me see the estimates on the damage to the car, please.
This is the estimate of the other parts of the car.
Okay.
This is the check that I paid, and this is the estimate of my car.
Okay.
And
May
we
I
have
have it,
some
please?
pictures.
What?
We have some pictures.
I don't need pictures. I got the picture. What do you want to do with the tape of this? Tell me what you want to do with it.
Your Honor, I have teenage children.
Yeah. Got it. I got it.
And teenage nieces and nephews. I
got
want
it.
them to see this one.
I got it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. 16-year-old Manaz Soleimani says her former friend, 15-year-old Carrie McAtee, wrecked her car. Manaz says Carrie had been smoking pot.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I say something?
No, you said enough. You don't want to appear any more stupid than you already appear. Now, let's get to you. You got to keep better control of your daughter.
That's right.
You understand that?
Yes.
Your 16-year-old daughter and your 17-year-old daughter shouldn't have a car.
She has her driver license, my older one.
And this one?
No, this one has...
This one?
Yes. I already told Naz not to hang out with Kathy.
Just a second.
Not to hang
I'm
out.
talking about allowing her to use
Yes,
a car.
Yes, you're right.
You've done that.
No, I didn't let her to drive the car.
Are you telling me that you've never allowed her to drive the car before?
Alone, no. Never alone.
With whom?
With me. Because she has her permit.
She has a learner's permit.
Yes. So she never, that's why they drive. Miriam gives both of them a ride to school.
Listen to me very carefully. Something's not happening right with this car. So I wouldn't let either one of them use it. You understand what I'm saying to you? It's up to you. She's half responsible for the damage she did to the car. She was under the influence of drugs. She shouldn't have gotten behind the wheel. She shouldn't have been using the drugs to begin with. She knew she had no license. She's responsible for half the damage that she caused. But I'm telling you
That's right.
that you better keep better control of your daughter. Because your daughter is out of control. Because not only was she smoking marijuana that night, she was also using alcohol, and she was in no condition to drive, which is what put her behind the wheel in the first place. Do you understand?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,425.50. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I do believe that we were partially responsible.
Both of the girls did something stupid, and both of them are responsible for this.
She's lucky that my daughter was not injured.
She never drove by herself. I always drive her to school, and everyone knows.
She had been drinking like straight Bacardi and had been smoking.
I got grounded. My mom took away all my stuff.
I hadn't been smoking as much as either of the girls.
Parents should be more careful because drinking is very easy. They can drink all the time, and they can buy weeds all the time as well.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Blessum versus Blessum. Step forward.
22-year-old salesperson Kaylee Blessum is suing her brother, 19-year-old warehouse worker Adam Blessum, for crashing her car. Adam says Kaylee's insurance should pay.
What's your first name?
Kaylee?
Kaylee. That's your brother. You each have a car.
Yes.
What kind of car do you have?
A 2000 Mitsubishi Galant.
And what kind of car does Adam have?
He had a 2002 Mitsubishi Galant.
What happened to his car?
He got into an accident a couple months ago.
Totaled his car?
Mm-hmm.
When did he borrow your car?
He borrowed it around May 10th of 03.
And at that time he had a car?
Yes.
But he liked your car better because your car had nicer...
rims and just flashier of a car.
I know you love these cases. You borrowed her car to go over to a friend's house.
Yep.
And what happened, Adam?
On the way to bring a car back, I slid on some kind of ice. So I slid off to the left side of the road and hit a tree.
And what did you do to your sister's car?
I broke the headlight, the bumper, and crushed the fender a little.
A lot of damage.
So you caused some damage to her car.
Yeah.
And you want him to pay for the damage.
Yes.
Adam says, why didn't you put this through the insurance that you had on the car?
I called the insurance company, and they actually told me that if I did, because he
was 19 years old, your insurance rates would go up, and they would go up for a very long time.
Right.
So you want her to put this through her insurance, and you'd be, according to you, more than happy to pay for her deductible. Is that right?
Right.
That's your defense.
Yeah.
Are you more than happy, Adam, to pay for her increased insurance rates for the next 5 years?
No.
Why not?
Or she could have, she could have done that to my car too. We didn't have.
Listen, she could have stood on her head and had twins in the parking lot of Target. She could have done that too, but she didn't. You caused an accident damaging her car, right?
Right.
If she were to put the accident through her insurance, it would cost her additional premiums, at least for the next 5 years, through no fault of her own. So, would you be prepared to pay for her $500 deductible as well as her increased insurance premiums over the next 5 years?
No.
Why not?
We didn't have an agreement on if that were to happen. Accidents happen.
Yes, accidents happen. And the person who is closest in responsibility for that accident bears the responsibility for that accident.
Mm-hmm.
That's what an accident is, my friend. That's why they don't call it an on purpose. Had you been more careful with her car would not have been in an accident. If there was ice and rain on the street that night, you should have taken your own car. And if you chose to take her car, you assumed the responsibility for any damage that was done to the car, not her. How much did it cost to fix your car?
Total was $1,587.47.
Can I see the bill, please?
I have actually 2 estimates that I got.
Did you fix it yet?
Yes.
Good. Well, how much did it cost you to fix it?
The $1,587.47.
Okay. The other one was more.
Right.
Good. What kind of work do you do, Adam?
It's assembly line.
You work regularly?
Yep.
You live at home?
I live with my girlfriend at her parents' house.
At her parents' house?
Yeah.
You mean her parents think that you're prize enough to let you move into their house with their daughter? How old is their daughter?
19.
19. Uh-huh. All right. Kaylee!
Yes.
He has to fix your car. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,587.
Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm just happy that I won my case.
You should have to only pay the deductible.
He's been in so much trouble with the law.
Accidents happen, and that's what insurance is for.
He was probably intoxicated at the time.
She can think whatever she wants.
19-year-old student Christina Reagan is suing her brother, event promoter Matthew Oakley, for stealing money from her checking account. Matthew is countersuing, claiming Christina defamed his character.
Down, this is case number 31 on the calendar in the matter of Reagan versus Oakley. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Reagan, Mr. Oakley is your brother.
Yes.
This is your mom.
Yeah.
According to your complaint, you and your mom had an arrangement with your banking.
Mm-hmm.
You would give your mom your money that you were saving for school, and then she had another account where you paid bills at another account. And it is your complaint that your brother accessed the account and stole $1,175 by writing unauthorized checks.
Phone checks.
Your brother says he borrowed the money from your mother. She told him that he had the authority to go in and take the money out of that account, that he paid her back a good deal of it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That he didn't pay her back all of it because he's been generous to her, helping her out the last few months. And he is counterclaiming because he says that you called him a thief in front of some business associates and therefore tarnished his reputation.
He did it on his own.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, let's start with what we have. We have a situation where you took money out of a bank account that belonged to
My mother.
your mother,
Yes, ma'am.
according to you. And you took out how much money?
I'm sure it was $1,175 in different disbursements, so not at one time.
And when did you start taking that money out?
This is last year. I don't know the exact dates.
Now, can you explain to me, sir, how you got access to this account?
Yes, ma'am. My mother, those checks are not like regular checks. You have to have a PIN number to access those checks, which is my mother's personal identification number. It's for her bank.
I know what a PIN number
Yeah,
is. Even
that-
I, as challenged as I am, know what a PIN number is.
She gave me the account.
Well,
the
tell
number.
me how that came about, Mr. Oakley.
I'm an event coordinator. I do sporting events, kind of like a promoter type deal. At first, I needed help with my flyers, so I asked my mother, if I could borrow some money. I told her I'd pay her back.
Okay. So you went to your mother prior to April 2nd
Yes, ma'am.
and said, I need some money for flyers.
Yes, ma'am.
And your mother is together. I mean, she's not addled or anything. She's a together woman. Is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
right? So a normal person would have said, well, if you need some money, what's your first name?
Matthew.
Matthew, how much do you need? Right?
Exactly.
And what did you say?
I said I needed $300.
And what did she say?
She said, okay. She had a checkbook because she worked at Circle K at the time, and there were Circle K checks only.
And she gave you her PIN number.
She gave me her PIN number.
What was the PIN number?
I don't remember it anymore.
And so you went to the bank and you took out $375.
Yes, ma'am.
But your mother had only agreed, according to you, to loan you $300.
No, ma'am, that's not correct. She asked me how much I need,
And
she
you
didn't,
said-
and I said $300. But she did not agree just on a specific amount. She asked me whatever I needed. The flyers ended up coming up to $375.
No,
the
no.
first time.
That's just you made that up as you were going along, sir. An intelligent person, according to you, would say, how much do you need?
Mm-hmm.
You said $300, and according to you, she said okay, and she gave you a PIN number.
Yes, ma'am.
But then you went and took out $375.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Right. Okay. Now that was on the 2nd of April. Then you took out another $250 on the 4th of April. Tell me about that, sir.
It's the same thing. I needed it for lighting and sound for my event.
So, did you go back to your mother again?
Yes, I asked my mother.
No, did you go back to her again?
Yes, ma'am.
And then again on April 11th, you took out another $250. Did you go back to your mother
No, ma'am.
again?
No.
You just took it out.
Yes, ma'am.
And on the 13th, you took out another $300. Did you go back to your mother again?
No, ma'am.
Okay, now we're going to hear from
Lynn. Thank you. Your Honor, this account that he is speaking of was specifically formed for Christina's college funds and what she needed to do for her college. That was it. I would never give him permission to take any of that money for any of his events whatsoever. And how he got the comm checks is what he's talking
Can I say
about.
something, Your Honor?
No!
Well, how he got those is he went through my personal property, my papers, and he found them. And he knew that number. I never gave him permission to take that. He went through my papers and took that out. Christina, she goes to school 5 days a week. She works weekends. She's a waitress. She's got a full-time schedule. And she just doesn't have enough time. Nobody's really helping her with school. And so I took on a second job just for that. And I would never give him permission for an event. Matthew's been with me for 4 years now. He's taken money. This isn't the first time that he's done this.
What do you mean he's been with you for 4 years?
He was away.
Away where?
He was in prison.
Yeah.
And
Away.
he came out.
What was he in prison for?
Grand Theft Auto. But
So just a second. So he's a thief.
Yeah, exactly.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Says her brother Matthew Oakley stole from her checking account. Christina says the money was earmarked for her college tuition.
So you went to jail for Grand Theft Auto because you stole cars.
Yes, ma'am. This is when I was a child. I mean, I was really young when I did this. I came out of jail and totally straightened my life out.
Not according to your mother. Listen to me. Not according to your mother. If it's not according to your mother that you straightened your life around, I can't think of who is going to be more of a cheerleader than your mother.
Yeah, but can I say something, Your Honor?
When you came out of prison, where did you go to live?
I went with my mother's friend. Her name is Rosalie.
Never lived with your mother.
No, my mother actually lived with me. She came afterwards. After I was living at that house, she moved in.
You know what? Rosalie is my best friend. And I was, actually, when he first came out, I was renting a room. And the landlord there, when Matthew came over to the house, didn't like the way he looked, knew that he just came out of prison. He told me that I had to leave. So I was already going to move in and be a roommate with my friend. Matthew just happened to go there the day before, but it's not because he was going to move in there before me. He just happened to get there before I did. It was nothing even like that. That is so untrue.
Your Honor, can I say something?
And so let me tell you this. So ever since that day, because we've had a lot of problems through these 4 years, and he'll always tell me, I'll say, Matthew, okay, you know what? It's time for you to leave. You're just not doing the right thing. You got to leave. And he's like, well, I was here first. I don't have to go nowhere. And that's what the problem is. He's gotten into my check account, and what he would do is take checks out of the middle of the checkbooks. I don't have that anymore. And then so I would notice it, and I would check a balance, and they'd say, well, you don't have this. And finally, somebody said, why don't you check your checkbook? I looked through, and it would be like 351, 356, and it's just been going on and on and on.
Your Honor, I'm not going to deny this.
Sit down. Sit down.
Yeah, I'm not going to deny this. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I'm not going to deny that I haven't done bad stuff in the past. This situation that we have right now, though, she did loan me the money. The reason she's saying this is because, number one, she's saying that my sister needs this money for college, okay, for her college fund. But yet, the reason that my sister got mad and didn't have the money because at the same time that this was going on, she went and spent $6,000 on breast implants.
Listen to me.
Okay, $6,000 on breast implants. The money, if she needed money so bad for college, why would she spend $6,000 for breast implants?
That's not your business. How much did your tattoos cost?
Free. I got them all for free. I got them all for free.
Really?
Yeah, all of them.
Why is that? Why would somebody do that kind of artwork on you for free?
Oh, just friends. It's nothing from shops. It's just
Don't
friends
speak.
that do it.
Don't speak yet. Does it look as if I'm having difficulty
Go
with
ahead.
him?
Sorry.
Huh? Does it look as so far, what I have, Mr. Oakley, is that if I were to believe you, your mother agreed to loan you $300.
Yes, ma'am.
And you took out $1,175.
Yes, ma'am.
So that means that you were a thief for $800. Now you say, in your answer, in addition to that, I paid her back.
Yes, ma'am.
Bird wants to hear about that.
Yeah, I paid her. I pay my mother what I can. Sometimes I have money. Sometimes I don't.
Just a minute. When you say you pay her back, you live in a home with your mother, or you did with your mother and Rosalie?
No, my mother rents a room from me at my house. It's my house. She rents a room from me.
Oh, I can tell you
Her
something about
and
that.
Just a second.
Her and
So it's your home.
Yes, it's my home.
How did you get a home?
I rent the house. I rent her and my brother
Just
one
a
room.
second. So you rent a house.
Uh-huh.
Not your house. And when did you take over the lease on this house?
I've been in this house now for about 4 months.
And when did your mother tell you that she wasn't going to back up your story about these checks that you wrote?
Well, see, she never told me anything of the sort. My mother, okay, there's a problem because my mom, a while back, okay, she left for a while, probably for about 8 years. She ran off, okay, but it was a thing between my mother and Dad. She ran off. My sister feels that my mother owes her something because she ran off, which it wasn't really my mom's fault. My sister will sit there and tell my mother she's stupid, shut up, embarrass her in front of people. And if she's going to sit, I don't believe she took it this far, because if she's going to sit here and say that my sister doesn't talk to her like that, she's lying and she's under oath, because that's what happens.
Mr. Oakley, Mr. Oakley, if you want to discuss, listen to me, sir, if you want to discuss the family dynamics in your home, go on a talk show. Now let's get to your counterclaim, and let's get there quickly. You say that your sister came in when you were having a business meeting and called you a
thief.
But you are.
Loser. But I didn't steal the money.
No, but you are. No, but you are a thief. You're a convicted thief.
Yeah, past tense.
But that doesn't.
Evidently,
sir, you don't
that
get.
means, Judge, that if I did something in the past that I don't have any rights like anybody else to better myself, I'm still going to be considered a thief for something that happened in the past. You know,
No, she didn't say you were a current thief. She said you were a thief, and you were a thief. You were a convicted thief. You were a convicted felon. You served jail time. And according to your sister, and according to what I found, you're an additional thief because you took money out of this account. Even if I believed your story, which I don't, you took money out of the account in an unauthorized fashion because you were given permission for 3 and you took 12. So that makes you a thief. So your counterclaim was dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,175. Thank you very much. Be happy.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I didn't have to say a word. Judge Judy saw it the way it was. Matt's a thief.
I don't know, maybe I need to get a job, a real job or something, start making some money. I don't know.
Actually, he just got a job and he's worked 7 days in a row, so we're really proud of him right now.
I tried, try to get a counterclaim, try to get a little bit of extra out of it, but it just didn't work.
I worked for it, It's my money. I want my money. I don't want someone taking what I work for. If he's not going to have a job, I don't take his money.
Parties on Terry Pilcher versus Krupski. Step forward, please.
Did Mary Terry make Lonnie Krupski a partner in her leather business? Or was he just a mooch?
Order. All rise.
Your Honor, this is number 79 on the calendar in the matter of Terry Pilcher versus Krupski. You may be seated.
Very confusing. These papers that I have, complaint and answer, let me see if I can make some sense out of it. You are
Mary Terry Pilcher.
Hyphen Pilcher.
Who are you?
I'm Greg Pilcher. I'm her husband.
Recent husband.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Very
why
lucky.
don't you have a seat for a minute? Because this really has to do with the two of them. All right, don't trip on anything. Don't want any lawsuits here. And you are Mr. Krupski.
Yes, ma'am.
You used to be her boyfriend.
Used to be a boyfriend. I lived with her from 1989 to 1994.
No, he sponged off of me from 1989 to
Whoa.
1994.
Well, that's
He
what
did
it pretty
not
much says in your
contribute a penny,
complaint.
And he can victimize every woman and take every woman for advantage
Order.
that he gets his hands on.
Let's start from the beginning.
Let's start from the beginning.
All
In
right.
1989, Your Honor, I purchased the business from Mary Terry.
You did not.
Alterations in design.
Just a minute.
Which
We're
I have
starting
done.
from the middle of the novel, sir.
Okay.
You moved to Sacramento.
Right, correct.
You took over a business that was your mother's, a tailoring business,
Correct.
according to your complaint.
Correct.
At the time, you were a security guard, sir?
I worked in the Travelers Building. I also worked for Mather.
Sir! Were you a security guard?
Yes, I am.
That
was a security guard.
All right, so the answer is yes. You became involved with him. He didn't have a place to stay. You invited him to come and live in your house.
Correct. Until he could find a place of his own.
But then you became his girlfriend.
Right.
And then not only did he live in your house, but you took him into your business, according to your complaint.
He helped with the business. My mother still owned the business.
Now, what kind of business is this now?
At the present moment, it's a custom leather shop. At that time, it was an alteration shop, also doing
Your
some
Honor,
leather
can I
work.
interrupt there? I
No,
have.
don't interrupt. Don't interrupt. Try.
Well, it's
Order.
it's not truthful, Your Honor.
Just a second.
What she's saying is
You
not
mean
truthful.
that it's not a custom leather shop?
No, that her mother owns the business.
Would you
I
like
have,
to see the business license,
I
Lonnie?
have
Just a second.
copy.
We're getting far away from that.
I've got a copy from the Board of Equalization showing my business license and that I was an owner to Alterations in Design at that time.
She's suing you, sir, because at some point you broke up. You say she threw you out of the business. She acknowledges she's told you goodbye. And she said when you left the business, you took two things. You took a computer that she had bought.
Correct.
And you took leather goods.
Correct.
Worth a lot of money.
Let's back. Excuse me, Your Honor.
Don't say excuse me. This
Yes,
is not
ma'am.
a tea party. Be quiet. You, sir,
Yes, sir.
say that not only don't you owe her any money for this computer and for these leather goods, but she owes you $5,000 because she threw you out of your job, she threw you out of the business, you had lost income, et cetera, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so that's the general view of this case. All right, so now we have a computer, and you took the computer when you left the business.
I was forced to leave the business.
I got a
Just
restraining
a
order
second.
against you.
Did you take the computer when you left the business?
Yes, I did, and she knew I took the computer when I left the business.
No, it was gone when I went to the shop in the morning.
All right, computer. Now let's hear about these leather goods.
There's also on that same bill, it shows the purchase where there were 11 hides purchased.
Your Honor, that's not true because I did not return hide, nor did
You
I
liar.
get
Just a
any.
second. Sir, let me ask you
any-
this question.
I'm sorry,
You
ma'am.
have any evidence with regard to this case other than just being a nudnik?
Yes, ma'am.
Stand up.
Thank you, Your
What do you know about hides? And you don't know anything about a computer. That I've already determined. You weren't there when it was purchased. What do you know about hides?
I know about the hides because I'm the one that talked to the hide house this week when he returned
You
the
can't tell
hides.
me what the hide house said to you, sir.
Okay. What
That's
I can-
hearsay. It's not
How
admissible
about
in court.
rental receipts and agreements signed by Lonnie and Mary, and notarized statement, excuse me, from the landlord saying I'm the assigned person that has to pay his debt
So the assigned person has to pay his debt for what?
for the rent he agreed to pay and didn't pay.
There's nothing about rent in here.
Yep, that's what it is. That's what the suit's about now. It's
No.
about the stuff that he stole from the business and the back rent that I'm having to pay that he never did.
No.
Just a minute.
And
Well,
that
if
he
he's a-
stole from the business.
Just a second. The back rent was when he was there or when he wasn't there?
When he was there, ma'am. Yes,
When I
ma'am.
was
It's all right
there?
here. Notarized.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, you don't think a lot of things, pal,
You
but
know-
you're wrong. That's why
Your
you're
Honor.
narrow.
I have to,
One.
if
Order.
Mr. Krupski, I have to be able to read
Yes,
this. I
ma'am.
can't read it if you're talking to me. Don't you have any responsibility towards some of this rent?
Yes, ma'am, half of it.
Which is what he agreed to. So even half of that is $2,500.
Well, you mean he agreed to it because before he was
her
thrown out of the
boyfriend.
business?
Yeah,
before you were thrown out of the business?
with a restraining order stating that I cannot go near my business. I
It
have to
wasn't
stay
your business,
100
pal.
yards away.
Just a second. If it wasn't his business, so you can't have it both ways. If it's not his business,
not
then he's
his
not
business.
entitled. Then he's not responsible for the rent.
He was at best a helper, a boyfriend.
And a leech.
Yeah.
Well, that may be true.
Thank you.
You understand, Mr. Pilcher?
Yes, ma'am.
Listen to me very carefully. You can't have it both ways. You say he was a boyfriend and a mooch. He was a boyfriend and a mooch. Then he's not entitled to. He's not responsible for half the rent. If he was a partner in this business, then he would be responsible for half the rent. And for certain goods that are there, some of them would be him. So all I want to know from the two of you, and you can confer and put your heads together and figure out what's the best answer. Was he a partner or a mooch?
She's ready to rule in a moment. Was her ex-lover a partner or a mooch?
Talk to each other.
He was a mooch.
Mooch, good. Take this back. He was a mooch.
Your Honor, can I
So you're not responsible for the rent.
Even though
Can
he
I
signed the
Sure.
lease? I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Now,
He signed
just
for
a
the
second.
lease.
Just a second. She knew him long before you did, right?
Yeah. Well, I got lucky. That's good. Thank you.
Right. She knew him long. You may be angry,
I
but
am
she's
very.
the real party in interest. She has decided that since this was her business,
Right.
she would like to be able to make the choice as to whether she categorizes this gentleman as a business partner or a mooch. She has determined he is a mooch. Sit down.
Your Honor, can I submit something here that shows from the Board of Equalization that I was the business owner?
Lonnie,
I have.
Just a second. If you're the business owner, sir, you're responsible for half the rent. You want to be the business owner? Think about it. Just think. If you are a business owner, you're responsible for half the rent.
No, Your Honor.
So you want to be... So, listen, you say he's a mooch, he says he's a mooch. Fine, we've gotten rid of that point. You owe $1,700 for the computer. Now, you want to tell me one other thing about these hides. You say that late in the game you were a witness to these hides. Step up here and let me hear.
Yes, ma'am. When he came to the shop, he called up the shop, and I answered the phone and talked to him. And I called him back and said, please bring him back. He promised to bring him back on a Friday. We finally got him around to where he brought him back on a Tuesday morning with the promise that we would take his rabbit, which has since died from a hairball. We're sorry.
Your Honor,
But
this guy is...
he was
is
moving
out
out
there.
of his girlfriend's house, and he had nowhere to take it, he said. So he says, let me bring back... He was trying to get back in her good graces. He brought back less than $1,000, probably about $500 worth of merchandise that he had taken.
I didn't hear anything about the hides, sir.
Okay, well, the hides...
He returned some to you. You said he
Yes,
brought,
ma'am.
he
He
brought
brought
hides back to the business.
He brought back little pieces of leather and a couple of skirts and a couple of jackets.
And a dress valued at $2,800.
That dress is not
Judgment
valued
in
at
this case, listen to me, sit down.
Yes, ma'am.
You made a mistake. Yes. Got away cheap, you think? You think that he's no bargain, you think he's a bargain. Good luck to you. The judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,700. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
I feel the judge's decision is fair. Also, the whole world needs to know that there are men out there who make a lifetime occupation of living off of women, from one sob story to the next.
How can you make that judgment?
Put that finger in my face and I'll break
You
it.
were never around.
I don't have to be
You-
around. I
you-
believe her truth in your life.
Somebody else.
Real brave.
Yeah, real brave too. I'll tell you what,
Well,
sir.
let the gentleman
Well, we'll
go
let the
away
dis-
and we'll
we'll
show
let
you how
the-
brave I am, pal.
We'll see what the district attorney of Sacramento has to say fraudulent checks, because I have started a case against.
All parties on Sellers versus Bronson. Step forward, please.
Cynthia Bronson had a child with Robert Bronson. She says he beat her and damaged her truck. Now she won't let him see the kid.
Order. All rise, please. Your Honor, this is number 95 on the calendar in the matter of Sellers versus Bronson. You may be seated.
Ah, Miss Sellers, read your complaint, and Mr. Bronson, your answer. This is your husband?
Yes, it
A
is.
couple of months ago, your complaint says that you left him. You went back to the house to pick up some property that you said was yours. He assaulted the truck that you were driving in,
That is
and
a
he
lie.
assaulted you.
Yes.
The only surprising thing is you're only suing for the damage to the truck. which I find interesting. The damage to the truck, you say, was $508. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Uh-huh.
How long were you married?
12 years.
Is that right, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Have children?
Yes. My daughter, 11. His daughter, 11. She's 11 years old.
Have other children?
I have a son from my previous marriage.
How old is he?
He's 22.
Why did you leave?
She didn't want to pay the rent and help me pay the house payments on the house that I'd bought her, the American Dream.
That you... one more time, a little slow.
As I had bought her the American Dream, bought her a house, and she did not want to help pay the rent because we've been feuding with our in-laws for so long, and she felt like she did not have to pay any house payments, that it was all up to me. And so I asked her for $200.
Let's go back. I find this interesting. You bought her the American Dream.
Yes, was buying her.
And then you're mad because she didn't want to make the payments.
Yes, because like for 3 months, she gets more money than I do coming in. And
I thought you said you bought her the Dream, and you want her to pay for it.
We're both married, so we're both supposed to pay for it.
So you didn't buy her the Dream.
Well,
you bought the Dream together.
Yes, supposed to. And she backed out on it.
How did she back out on it?
I asked her to help me make the house payment, and she just turned around and said she ain't going to do it, and grabbed my daughter and split on me.
Were you working?
At the time, my truck was messed up. I couldn't even make it to work. My
So
transmission
the
went
answer was you weren't working.
out. I was. I had a job at the time. I still got the job.
And she had a job?
No, she's on the SSI.
What's the nature of your disability?
I have a lengthy illness due to brain damage.
Sir, listen to me. Listen to me. It's not smart to be disrespectful to a stranger.
Sorry.
If nothing else, this lady is the mother of your child. And you used to like her.
Yes.
So you don't want to say anything to humiliate her, do you?
She won't let me see my child.
Oh, we'll address that. How's that?
Thank you.
I may not be able to make a direction, but we'll talk about it. So you haven't worked? Well,
No.
you get an SSI check. Were you contributing that to the household?
Yeah, when I first moved in there, I was told that we only had to pay $635 a month.
By whom?
By my husband. He
Yes.
was buying the house from his parents.
Oh, so this was your parents' house?
Yes, there was no down payment or nothing going in. First, it was $950 in the first month rent, and then it would drop down until we got a loan in June. And we moved in in March. And they said it would be $950 until they can get it into my name and get a loan going, to assume the loan.
So it was your folks' house, and you were taking it over from them.
Mhm.
And then it was going to be your home. You were going to get
But
your
I
own
paid
loan.
the first payments on it because he didn't have a job.
From your SSI?
And what job he had, I never seen the money.
That is a lie.
Okay.
I got proof.
just a second. I sort of got the picture. You got angry with each other over money?
No, I got angry over him over drugs.
Why do you say you left, Miss Sellers?
Mrs. Bronson.
Why
Sellers, Miss Sellers, that's my mother right there.
She's the one
I'm the one that had the truck that he damaged.
Oh, I see. Well, you want to step up here? You weren't there when the truck was damaged, but it's your truck.
Mhm.
Okay. Why did you leave?
He became very abusive.
That's a lie.
But the last thing that he said to my daughter, which broke the camel's back, is he looked over at my daughter, and he, by the way, he was working under the table. He was getting unemployment, okay? Let's get the record straight.
No, I was not.
And he came in one of his off moods, and he looked at BJ, my daughter, that's her name. We nicknamed her BJ. It's Bobby Jean. He looked over at my daughter, and he said, guess what? He said, I'm going to get me a new, young, old lady who ain't sick and get me a boy. And you are not my daughter.
That is not true.
That's when I said, that's it. I packed my things and I went to a motel.
How long did you stay in the motel?
About 5 or 6 days in the motel.
Your Honor, can I interrupt for a second? When she went to the motel, my daughter was calling me every day, asking me if I had food in the house. And she walked out, and she didn't give me a dime. And I sat there and almost starved for 7 days. And she turned around. My little girl was calling me every day. She had these two boys.
But I thought he had a job.
Just a second. Your 11-year-old was calling to see if you had food in the house?
Yes, because she had walked out and left me without a dime. She had $600 cash in her pocket. She had these two clowns over here sitting up in the motel eating Chinese food. That's when my daughter was calling.
Well, I'm sure you can eat. You told me you had a job.
Love turned to violence. Judge Judy returns in a moment. Cynthia Bronson had a child with Robert Bronson. She says he beat her and damaged her truck. Now she won't let him see the kid.
Why didn't you go to your mother's house when you left?
Because I didn't want to go to her house.
Why?
I didn't even want to stay there.
Why?
I just didn't want her to be involved in the mess that we were in.
Okay, there came a time when you did go, according to your complaint, back to your mother's house.
I sure did.
And it was at that point that you borrowed her truck? So tell me what happened with this truck.
Can I start this?
Just a second. If you don't let him start, he's just going to interrupt you.
I know.
So
Okay.
let's let him start.
She moved out the first and said that she was no longer responsible for the house. She came back the fifth and said that I will be getting my stuff later on in life, that you can use it. Then she came back the 10th, 11th, when she heard I had a woman living in my house, that I rented a room, and brought 3 goons over there to try to jump me, and she was beating behind me with the shotgun on my back, and I had to defend myself, and I dropped the big red-headed one right there on the ground, and the other 2 guys were beating on me with ball and chain while she was on my back, and I chased them out of the house with the barrel of shotgun, because I had to disassemble it because I thought she was going to shoot me with it. And she had hit me with the truck, and I turned around and hit the truck with the barrel of the shotgun.
Are you finished?
Yes.
I have a police report, Your Honor,
Don't
for
tell
you.
me I'm not interested in police report. I'm interested in
I mean
you
about the
telling
gun
me
when
your...
he just lied.
Hey. Now I'm interested in your version of what happened with the truck when you went back to the house to get your stuff.
I took the truck over to the house on August the 9th.
Who were you with when you took the
I
truck?
was with my son and my nephew and a friend of theirs named Danny. We went over there. They were going to help me get my refrigerator and all my stuff out of there.
What's all the stuff? Refrigerator, what else?
My refrigerator, all my kitchen utensils. There was 3 couches, so I only took the one that she had gave me and left him the other couch. All my things, I wanted them out of there. He told me I could store them there and that he would take good care of them. When I got over there, I go down the hallway to my bedroom and the door's locked, and I told him to open the door, and I heard the girl, Teresa, say, "Oh no, it's your wife." I said, "Open the door before I kick it in." Well, when the door was slung open, she had a torch in her hand. He had a glass pipe about this long sitting there.
Listen to me. Sir, first of all, stand up. It's court.
Sorry.
She was quiet. You told me your story. I let you tell it first.
Excuse me, sir.
Because I knew that unless I let you tell it first, we were going to run into trouble. But now you have to be quiet. Go ahead.
So anyway, here's this glass pipe that he had in his hand, hers, and I turned around and looked at her. I said, "You get out of my house." And I used the word bitch. And I said, "Till I can get my things out of here." Because he promised me he wouldn't bring nobody into the house till I got my things out of there. Then he proceeded to tell me, "You effing bitch." He said, "You ain't getting out of here." You know what I mean?
I know what
And
you
he said,
mean.
because he said, I know when you were at that motel, you were sleeping with your nephew and getting it on in the bed while our daughter was laying in the floor. And I looked at him, I said, "You're high." And about that time, he said, "You even gave him a hickey." Then my nephew comes walking in the bedroom, he goes, "Uncle Rob, look. It's a blister right here." And he goes, "You're sick." He said, "You need to go to the Betty Ford Clinic and get some help." And when he started out of the bedroom, that's when he jumped up and just slammed him like that out into the living room. That's when he got the shotgun. Came out there, he got it jerked out of his hand. I broke the shotgun, okay? He picked up the barrel of it and started running. He went after them, but he couldn't catch them. So what does he do? He runs right past the truck, sees the truck's there, and phew, onto the truck.
What did he do to the truck?
He took the end of the shotgun, you know, the barrel of it, it's like an over and under, and just, he knocked out the headlight and then crushed the top of it as I'm getting into the truck. So I had to go down and call 911. But that's before he grabbed me, and I have the bruises to show it in pictures, grabbed me, slung me, hit me in the back of the head, and knocked me over this couch that was in we had a double living room there. And that's when my son said, "Hey, you don't get your friggin' hands off my mom."
Let me see the photographs, please.
Your Honor, can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
These cases that was going to criminal court for spousal abuse and vandalism on the truck was thrown out from lack of evidence because they wouldn't even take my side of the story because she knows the sheriff's down there. But it was thrown out of court completely.
No,
What do you mean you had a trial?
Yes, I had a hearing and everything, and it was
Just a
thrown
sec.
out of court.
When did you have a hearing?
It was August, about 3 weeks ago.
Right now, we're here to talk about the damage to the truck and the amount of $508. How do you say it happened?
How did I say it happened? Is she
Yeah.
hit me with the truck, and I turned around, hit me so hard it spun me around, and I smacked the truck with the gun. And she's been
I have the police report.
onto a
I'd
rehab
imagine
for
she's in the
drugs
police
before
report,
herself.
right?
She's been on Lorset for 7 years straight, where my daughters walked in and asked her for food, and she got off the couch screaming and yelling at my daughter, and I had to go cook the food.
Okay. You clearly don't like each other anymore. I don't have to hear anymore.
That's why my
you
daughter's
have,
not
just
here
a minute,
today.
Just a second. You have an estimate for the damage to the truck?
Yes, I do.
May I have it, please?
Sure. Also, there's a police report here showing
I'm not
what
interested in
happened.
the police report because the police weren't present. So whatever police report there is, they took down the information that you gave them, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I would rather get the information myself. I love to look at people's eyes.
Your Honor, they wouldn't even take my side of the statement because they knew that she had said Danny Hunt's name and the
Sir, don't
court
tell me
case.
what the police knew.
Okay, but
I'm
they
not
didn't take
interested
my
in your
side.
interpretation of what the police knew.
Plus, the value of the truck is not over $500. It's like a '68 pickup, an old Chevy torn-up truck.
Okay. I've seen the invoice. I've seen the damage to the truck. I know who I believe with regard to how the damage to the truck took place. But I did promise something to you, sir, and I'm going to address it.
She says she loved him. He beat her. Now she wants to get even. The judge is ready to rule in a moment. Cynthia Bronson had a child with Robert Bronson. She says he beat her and damaged her truck. Now she won't let him see the kid.
Many years ago, when I was a new lawyer, there was a judge in the court. I don't think I have to mention his name. He was an old bachelor, a Boy Scout person, involved with the Boy Scouts. And I used to bring in, as a prosecutor, women, who had been abused. And he would look at them and he would say to them, "What do you want from me? You picked them." And at the time, I thought that that was the most insensitive thing that anybody could say. 20 some odd years later, I say this to you in good humor. You picked each other at some point 12 years ago. Good, bad. You picked each other. You made a child together, an 11-year-old child, who I think, and I just get a sense, irrespective of what else goes on in your lives, that you both care about deeply. Little girls like their fathers. You know that, Mrs. Bronson. You would probably prefer that she didn't. But that's what happens. Little girls always, irrespective of who cleans up after them, who gets up in the middle of the night with them, whoever does all of those ministerial things, they always love their fathers. He should see his daughter.
I have let him.
It's not a question of letting. It's not really for you to let. It's really the child's right. She has a right to feel as if both her parents, irrespective of the fact that they don't like each other anymore, still love her. That is the one unity that they have. So I don't know whether you're going to be able to resolve all the other issues in your life, but you would be very smart to resolve that one issue. Like it or not, you're stuck with each other for the next, 7 or 8 years until your daughter becomes an adult. You'll want to do things together. She's going to get married. She's going to hopefully find a nice guy. You're going to both attend the wedding. You're going to want it to be a happy time for her, not a miserable time. There'll be graduations that she'll have from public school, from junior high, from high school. She's going to want her parents there, not with her back arched, worrying whether they're going to make a scene at this thing or whether they're going to behave like people who once cared about each other, but who now at least care about her. So try to be civil with each other, at least for your child. Is that reasonable?
Yes, I have.
Okay. You owe her $508 for damage to the truck. The judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $508. Thank you.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
Cindy, I'm responding to your divorce papers. I'm letting you know I'm responding to it. That I am suing you.
Good. Just leave me alone.
No problem.
I'm sorry, is there anything that you weren't able to say in court?
Yes, there is a lot of things. But she is a drug addict. She's been on drugs for 7 years. And those two right there are dope dealers. Brandon Bussell and Chad Johnson.
Grow up.
No, I am.
Grow up.
Excuse me? Oh, I love you, Modena.
As soon as he's off the drugs,
He does need help.
he can have DJ every other weekend or whatever, because I don't want my daughter not to be able to see her dad.
And now, the next case.
All parties on Coleman versus Goins. Step forward, please.
Once they were friends, now they are enemies. Sisters Kelly and Mary are fighting over a lot more than her husband's bicycle.
You two sisters come from Chicago to my court today, is that right?
Yes.
And I've read your complaint, Miss Coleman and Mrs. Goins. I read your answer. Let me see if I can make some sense out of this family tragedy. You say that you bought a bicycle for your brother-in-law. He asked you to buy a bicycle for him.
Yes.
And he liked yours. You had one that was similar. Said, pick one up for me. You weren't so sure whether you should. You asked your sister, and she said, well, buy it for him. He'll pay for it, and if he doesn't, I will. So far, is that what you say happened?
Well, basically, she said, don't worry that, you know, he'll pay me. I'll get my money, basically.
And so you bought the bike?
Yes.
And you didn't get paid?
No.
How much was the bicycle?
The bike was $150.
Okay. Now, you say that she's not entitled to the money or the bike back because she broke your window.
Yes.
Well,
she,
tell me about that.
First of all, when my husband asked her to get a bike for him, she said, okay. And she looked at me and she asked me if I would pay for it if he didn't. I told her no. So she insisted, and I kept telling her, I'm not, if you don't want to buy it, don't buy it. I'm not paying for it if you don't pay for it. Me and her fell out. We had an argument.
About what?
Because she was mad because I used her car, and when it got my kids from her house.
Stole my car.
I didn't steal your car. Okay. She gave me the keys.
To go to the store.
To go to the store,
Okay.
and I went and I got my kids because I was tired of constantly keeping her kids, and I asked her to keep my kids for the summer. She said fine, but the very next weekend she came back with my kids. So, and then she spent the night out. When she went out,
So you had an argument?
Right, we had an argument.
Had you been friends before?
Yeah, she was coming to my house every single weekend wearing my clothes to go out. Only one
Why
time
your
she wore
sisters?
something.
She had keys made to my car. This is how much I was there and how much I was taking advantage of her. She was using my car.
Listen, you two are
constantly.
sisters. How old are you?
I'm 24.
How old are you?
35.
How many kids you have?
I have 3.
And I have 4. And my kids were forced to babysit her kids. And my husband took care of her kids.
What I'm hearing from you is that there was a time that you were good friends and sisters and took care of each other and took care of each other's children and was sort of a cooperative family. Are you a large family?
Yes.
Yeah, 13.
13 brothers and sisters?
Yes, 11 girls and 2 boys, and I'm the youngest.
But we were not friends. I was her friend. I was her sister. She was taking advantage of me. She was not doing anything for me. Never.
Miss Goins, my question is, do you have, or does your husband have, this is your husband?
Yes.
In his possession, the bicycle?
Yes, he does.
No.
More than a battle over a bike. The sisters' fight continues after this.
I take my kids out to dinner. I come back, she's on the block.
Once they were friends, now they are enemies. Sisters Kelly and Mary are fighting over a lot more than her husband's bicycle.
There's something in the answer, in your answer, that suggests that you're not responsible for the bicycle or the payment because she came to your house and broke a window.
Right.
How did that happen?
Can I tell you how that happened?
Yes.
I came up to try and retrieve the bike. I went over to the house. She told me that I could get it when he came home. It was at his mother's house. So she had me take her to the cash station and to run some errands. And then later that evening, when I tried to go back on my way home to retrieve the bike, she refused to let me in the house. He came up and told me basically he didn't even acknowledge my presence, and that hurt me. And so as a result, he slammed the door in my face, and I knocked on the window. It shattered, and I cut an artery and a tendon. And she's telling me that I have to pay for the window. I cut an artery and a tendon.
Well, you were angry.
And she asked me.
So you were hurt?
Yes. They pulled me in the house. Blood was splurting everywhere. They pulled me in the house, and she told him to call the police on me.
Did that happen, Miss?
Don't bleed on her carpet.
He was not there when she came over there.
Yeah, I'm not interested in that. Listen, this is your sister.
Right.
Whether she was right or wrong to try to
She
get into
was-
your house and she was angry and she banged on the...
Not just once. He wasn't even there when she
Doesn't-
started banging on the window.
Doesn't make any difference. She was hurt.
But she
Come
was
on.
out on my on my porch in daylight, cursing, acting silly. That's why I wouldn't let her in the house.
But she got hurt.
Yes, she did. But that is because I went downstairs. I live on the second floor. She kept banging on the window.
No.
And so I disconnected the bell because she was ringing on the bell
No.
too. I told her, I said, Kelly, stop
Why
banging
didn't
on
you
the
just
window.
give her back the bike?
I didn't have the bike at the time.
Well, why didn't you tell your husband? Step up here,
I
please.
can't make
Shh.
him.
Step up here. Listen, sounds to me like you caused a lot of trouble. Sir, you're the husband, right?
Yes, I'm the husband.
You asked her to get you a bike.
Yes, I asked her to give me a bike. She was nice enough to get the bike. That's true enough.
So where's the bike?
I have the bike at the house.
So you got to pay for it.
I'm aware I have to pay for it.
Good. Then we've just resolved this case.
No, but Your Honor, may I speak, please?
Yes.
She bought me the bike under condition that I would pay for it. I told her I'd get paid every 2 weeks. She called my house every night, told my mother, her mother.
No.
She just put the business out in the street. She told everybody. I told her to stay over my house that Monday. I got paid. I would pay her. No, she had to go out. She left. So I said, you got to wait another week now. She wouldn't wait. So she comes back over to the house. I take my kids out to dinner. I come back. She's on the block. Neighbors all out everywhere. She's screaming and cursing. I tell my wife, let's go in the house. Let's not make a scene over $100. They've been family all their life. Over $100. She do things for her that nobody else in her family would do. So she starts banging on the window and cursing. I tell her, let's go in the house. Our business is not nobody else's. She broke the window. She hurt her hand.
wouldn't let me
That's
in.
her fault.
He would not let
And
me
from
in.
that point
All right,
on,
how much of a down payment did you give her for
I
the
gave
bike?
her $50
He
down
didn't
payment.
give me a dime.
Yes, he did.
No, he
Now
didn't.
that's a lie, Kelly.
He did not
That's
give
a
me
lie.
Kelly.
No, that's a lie.
Judge Judy. Once they were friends, now they are enemies. Sisters Kelly and Mary are fighting over a lot more than her husband's bicycle.
Look at me. Look at me.
Yes.
Did he give you a down payment for the bike?
No, he did not. I
You
have the full amount of the charge.
Let me see the charge.
I was not sure which one was the Roadmaster because I bought 2 bikes that day. But these are
Yeah,
both
but he's saying
purchases.
he gave it to you in cash
In
and you put the
cash.
whole thing on your charge.
No.
The day I went and bought the bike, she put the down payment on the receipt. Now she should have that. It shows the day that I bought that
No,
bike,
I
I gave
paid
her
on my
$50
charge.
on
I
it.
paid on my charge.
Yes,
There's
because
no
I gave you the money, so it should be on the
No,
charge.
I didn't. No,
yes,
I did not.
you did.
All right.
No, we done came too far
Oh,
for this.
also, I gave him the receipt, and I asked him to return the bike if he did not want to pay me for it, and he would not. He
Well,
refused.
What makes you
I
think
have
you
a
should
witness.
come to my
I have
house
a witness.
and interrupt
Okay.
our family like you did?
I'm certain that there was some animosity between your wife and her sister even before, listen to me, even before this happened. It may have been under the surface. If there, your wife is shaking her head no. So if there was no
There
animosity before this thing happened, this bicycle cost a lot of trouble.
No,
No, well, it did.
it wasn't the
did.
bicycle. It was the fact that I've kept Kelly's kids
For 3
for
months,
3 months
at a
at a
time.
time.
Listen
more
to me,
than
that's
once.
a different thing. That has nothing to do with money. Quiet now. Now you have to listen. Now you have to listen. You can't keep the bicycle that she paid for. That's just common sense. The incident with the window was an accident. I mean, it may have been because she was acting inappropriately, but certainly she hurt herself. As a sister, you should have been more concerned that your sister had some serious injury than over the window. It started because of a bicycle. You have to pay her for the bicycle. And I find that you did spend $150 for the bike, and the judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $150.
And
That's
what
all.
about the window?
That's all.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
Think that you guys can put this behind you and go on and be a family again?
No,
No,
because
no.
she's lying. You
She's
are
lying,
lying.
and besides that, she wouldn't have hurt herself if she wouldn't have been banging on the window. That's a $75 window.
I'm married. For the rest of my life.
I told she was
For the
not,
rest of
she
my
was
life,
not concerned
because she would not give
with
my
her
bike
arm. I
back.
told her, Kelly, drive yourself to the hospital. She's
Drive
still
myself to
standing.
the hospital.
She's still
Blood
standing up in the hospital,
splurting.
in the house, talking about, I want my bike.
But isn't it more important to go on and be sisters again? Can you guys go on
She
and do
was
that?
never my
sister.
sister. She was never my sister. A sister does things for her sister.
Yeah, I went down there for that.
She was not my sister. She didn't do nothing for me. I lost her over you.
You have anything to say to her
chose
now?
you over me.
Serious problem.
She chose you over me.
$100.
She chose you. She didn't need me.
I have nothing to say to her. I don't have a sister named Mary.
That's pretty
sure
As
bad.
far as I'm concerned.
Over
You sure
$100.
don't.
That's pretty
And the
bad.
next time she needs somebody to keep her
pretty
kids
bad.
for 3 months at a time,
$100.
and she called crying to me, she ain't gonna get nothing from me.
Pretty bad.
I wouldn't get anything from you anyway.
You
'cause
always
chose
did.
him
You
over me.
always did. Don't even try.
You chose him
Don't even
over
try.
me.
Party's on Marinoff versus Busey. Step forward, please.
Richard Nathan Marinoff says when a car deal went wrong, David Busey threw him to the ground. David says it was Richard who went for a gun.
Order. All rise. Order. Judge, it's number 110 on the calendar, the matter of Marinoff versus Busey. Be seated, please.
You're Nathan.
Yes, ma'am.
You're David.
Yes, ma'am.
It says that you two people have known each other for about 15 or 20 years. I've read the complaint, I've read the answer. It's about some convoluted deal about exchanging old cars and a lot of other junk, cylinders and motors. But bottom line was this deal went sour. And you say he assaulted you.
Yes, ma'am.
And David, you are countersuing him because you say that he's got criminal charges pending against you and you had to come down to court for this case and the other case that's still pending. Caused you all kinds of inconvenience and you want $5,000 and you want $5,000. Nathan?
Yes, ma'am.
You're up.
He was going to put a new motor in the BMW.
That was his BMW.
Yes, ma'am. The car at that time did not run. He was going to rebuild the motor as he is a BMW mechanic. It was no problem for him to get that car running. I gave him my off-road Volkswagen.
What's an off-road Volkswagen?
It's a car that was made for off-road racing with a full roll cage. It was owned by the Checkers off-road racing team. And it's just barely a street-legal car. It has no turn signals, for instance. You know, it's
Okay,
just off-road
so
car.
you made this deal with him. What happened?
When I came to his house to retrieve my car, he told me I could not have it, as my witness will testify, that I owed him $1,000 for Volkswagen parts that he had purchased while I was supposedly working on the BMW. And I asked him why he spent money on a car he didn't own yet, and he got violent.
Let's hear it now. Let's hear about the violence, because that's what you're suing for,
The
right?
first violence occurred, like I said, was on Wednesday in his driveway. He grabbed me by the throat and threatened that I could not back out of this deal, that we're too far into it, and it would cause me traumatic injury if I insisted. He had me by the throat, had ripped my shirt off, and punched me in the guts 3 times.
Did you do that, sir?
His father was here.
Did you do that?
Oh, no, ma'am. Oh.
Didn't put your hands on him?
Never. Very good. Right. The witness here will testify that Dave, in fact, did that, and he ran out of the car to help me.
So he punched you 3 times in the stomach?
In the stomach.
What else did he do?
At that point, I got away from him. He threatened to kill his father and beat him up if he didn't get back in the house. I got back in my car and proceeded to ride backwards down the street with him chasing my car down the street. Come on back. Come back to the house. I was still convinced I wanted my car back. I wasn't thinking clearly. All we're going to do, I kept telling my friend here, is we're going to just tow his BMW back, and maybe he'll give me my Volkswagen.
So this is after he's got you by
That's
the
the
throat.
first time.
Just a second. This is after he's gotten you by the throat, punched you 3 times in the stomach.
Right.
This guy over
Yes,
here
ma'am.
looks pretty powerful. You
Yes, ma'am.
decided you still wanted your old piece of junk back.
It's not an old piece of junk.
All right. So what did you do?
When we got to my house, he immediately jumped from his truck, or wherever he was standing from, and almost immediately started screaming at me, telling me what I had done wrong and what he was going to do and what I was supposed to have done and what I didn't do and blah, blah, blah. And every time he'd bend over, he'd whisper sickening threats. Going to burn my home. He's going to kill my witnesses. My dogs are dead. Next thing I know, I'm up in the air, my head slammed against the wall. Next thing, I'm on the ground with his arms wrapped around my neck and my legs like a baby, slamming me on the ground like a snail, and then punching me in the ribs, laughing that no one's going to see these bruises, and at which point this gentleman pulled him off of me and stopped the fight, at which point my girlfriend on the phone with 911 and the police were on the phone at the time, opened the door just as he jumped off of me and ran down the driveway.
What do you do for a living, sir?
I'm a welder.
Have you been working the last couple of months?
Not the last couple of months. I've been on state disability.
As a result of this or something
No.
else?
As a result of this, I've been on state disability since July 1st.
Well, you were on state disability before?
Yes. And
For
I was
what?
to be released July
For what?
1st. For
I had a Heimlich rod removed from my left femur, from my knee to my hip.
When was that?
That was October 6th of 1995.
So you've been on disability since October of 1995.
And I was released July 1st. And I was put back on July 1st because of this gentleman's physical altercation.
You have nothing to demonstrate to me today from the state that indicates that you were going off disability as of July, but you were put back on disability because of incidents. Okay, but you say that you can't work now.
None at all.
Okay. Now, you say you have a witness. That's you, sir?
Yes, sir.
Step up.
How far?
Step up right here, sir. It's my understanding that you wish to testify with your hat on and in somewhat of a disguise because you have certain fear.
Yes, I feel my life is in jeopardy.
Okay. Could you just take your hands out of your pockets? You're not afraid of that, right?
No, ma'am.
All right. Did you witness anything physical on that date between these two people?
Yes, I did.
Tell me exactly what you
Well,
saw.
when I was sitting in the car as they were doing their conversation, Dave ended up taking a swing at Richard and hit him in the side.
Richard is this person who I call Nathan, because that's what's in it.
Yes,
Okay.
Nathan. Richard didn't do nothing. Dave got irritable, grabbed him by the neck, threw him up against the door and a wall, then threw him to the ground, and then started hitting to him. I jumped over, opened up the door, said, "Nancy, please call the police." I jumped on Dave's neck, and as I did that, he got off Richard, Nathan, and then we both rushed into the house.
Have a seat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I walk up. I'm very aggressive. I'm yelling. I'm cussing at him. Everything. I'm saying I want my car back. I'm saying I don't want to deal with you anymore. I'm not fixing the car. You're not keeping my car. You got to get out of my life. All deals are off. He then looks at me and he says, "Well, that ain't going to happen." I said, "A little while ago you told me you're going to bring my car back. I'm at my house waiting for 2 hours. I call you 4 times. You're hanging up on me. What's the deal? You changed your mind again? I want my car back." He looks at me and he says, "You know what, Dave? I'm going to go in the house and get my gun. I'm going to blow your... Can't cuss here or what?" He's going to blow my effing ass away, okay? I physically get in front of him before he goes in his house. I'm like this, both hands up. "Nathan, stop this. You don't want to do this." So, next thing you know, he physically grabs me, goes to push me out of the way. Nathan, he's pushing me.
He's pushing you?
Yeah, he's not fighting with me. He's not striking me. He's pushing me out of the way. He's just trying to get in his door. Cool. I grab onto him. Problem is his porch is slippery. I'm falling down. He's pushing me out of the way. I pull him around, spin him around, put him on the ground. I got my arm on his neck, and I'm holding him.
Somebody said to me, somebody that I was having a verbal dispute with, said to me, "I'm walking it down my driveway, up my walkway, into my house, and I'm going to get a gun, and I'm going to blow you away." I would move myself as fast as I could to get into my car, to get away from there.
I didn't
Go to the police. Are you trying to talk over me? That's not a good idea.
No, ma'am.
Go to the police. Say, "Somebody just threatened me with a gun."
Right.
You didn't do that, so you weren't afraid of him going into the house.
He was calling for his gun before he ever went in the house.
Did you say you were going to go into your house and get a gun, Nathan?
So I was on the ground screaming, "Call the police!" She had already dialed 911.
Nathan, let me ask you this. Did you come out with a gun? Did you follow me out with the gun? Think about that
Just
one.
a second. I usually like to ask my own questions, but I'd like an answer to that question.
She was on the phone with 911. I grabbed the phone from her, entered my house, went into my bedroom, brought my 12 gauge to the front door, at which time I had the LAPD on my left hand screaming, "Put the gun down." I come to the front door. This individual is already in his truck doing burnouts down the street.
So it sounds to me like you two young men who've known each other but clearly not been friends known each other for a very long time, got into a very unfortunate deal.
Which she never came back.
David.
Yes, ma'am.
The judge is ready to rule. A fist fight, a gun, and a car deal gone wrong continues in a moment. When a car deal went wrong, a fight broke out, and one of them went for a gun.
Very unfortunate deal. And it didn't turn out well. I believe that you did, in fact, put your hands on Richard Nathan. I believe that you did that. I believe that you were angry and did that. I also, however, believe that he told you that he was going into the house to get a gun. I believe that. I believe that because he came out of the house with a gun. So, Were you defending yourself at the time?
Yes.
I really wasn't asking for an answer.
Well, it's mutual.
David.
Okay. You wasn't really asking for an
No, I wasn't asking for an answer. Were you defending yourself at the time? Could you have retreated from the situation? Could you have gone back to your car? Yes. This was, however, a very hot moment. I do not believe that he was disabled to the extent that he indicated. I think that he's been on disability now for almost a year. He has no proof that the continuation of his disability was a result of anything that you did to him.
That is ridiculous.
Maybe ridiculous, sir.
Fair. The
That's
police
why
are
I'm here.
prosecuting him on this information.
That's why I'm here. You
lose
both
that too,
acted
my
badly. Your suit and your countersuit are dismissed.
Thank you.
That's all.
This is
What
wrong.
is our excuse?
You're right.
Still a poor man, Nathan.
You're right. This is wrong, man. This is very wrong. Be quiet. It's not their fault, though. The judge is right. I didn't get anything notarized.
Now, the next case.